I love Jews. 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 I love Jews.
So you guys know we're doing a topic related to Israel. So just to show solidarity, we are playing this song. We do the intro with the juice rock. We're doing at least 30 minutes of this, then we'll get to the debate, okay, guys? Just feel the beat, get into it. Stop trying to resist it, just get into it.
I love Jews.
I'll play blindfolded.
I love Jews.
I'm looking away. Behind the head. Hold on. I can't see it. I'm playing with my teeth.
Jews.
About at least we'll do 15 more minutes of this, then we'll get started with the debate. We have to show our support for America's greatest ally. Let's keep it going.
I love Jews.
Me too. All right, guys, I can't be on late, so let's get it started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Dark Times with your boy, Dark Match Steve, aka Young Darky. a.k.a. Dark Boy, a.k.a. Lil N-Word. What's up? Welcome to the show. This is basically a 2 to 3 hour long edge session that you've entered, maybe unwittingly. Welcome, welcome. We like new people in here. We like to mix it up. Little stranger in the circle jerk. We like that. Welcome, welcome. So, yeah, guys, if you're new around here, I know we got some new people recently. We've been having new people. This is Dark Times with Dark Mad Steve, where we get very dark. And that's pretty much all you need to know, I think. But, yeah, we cover all kinds of topics. Tonight, we're covering, and by covering, I mean stealing, I mean reviewing the debate between Dave Smith and Josh Hammer. Now, this debate was moderated by Charlie Kirk, which it's funny. He can watch two other people debate about Israel, but he won't accept a debate with Nick Fuentes about Israel. Very funny. So he's not like completely immune to the topic. He just rather play it safe and watch two other people have the debate. I'm sure he's not going to be helping the pro-Zionist side of this debate. I'm sure he's going to be very unbiased as a moderator and just score this 100% fairly. Dave Smith has nothing to worry about here. So yeah, guys, let's get right to it. I'll get to the chat. Say hello to everybody getting in here. Let me drop this for a second. Oh, it should be right in my history, actually. I could have left you guys up here. I don't want you guys to see all the other videos that I got in my history. And I swear it's not just because I watch weird stuff and I'm embarrassed of the things that you guys would see in my history. I got stuff cooking, okay? Can't let you guys see what's on the stove. All right. Let me get to the chat. Now, everybody knows, shouldn't have to go through this every single night, but I know that there's some new people here and there, and I just got to be conscious of that. I do a little, you could say, it's a little incentive for people to get into the chat, okay? Now, for the record tonight, because this is something, a topic I think Rumble could appreciate, and look, my Rumble is still pathetically small and unnoticed on the internet, but dude, my stream from Friday has like, it's got like several thousand views on Rumble. And I got a few new followers and stuff. I mean, I'm still under 100. But, my Rumble page I haven't done as much stuff with. But anyway. Yeah, so tonight we're on Rumble again. I'm going to be mixing Rumble in more here and there because you know what? As much favoritism as I kind of gave to Facebook, and people do interact with us on there and stuff, but it's just like I get about that much on Rumble if I cover a good topic, and Facebook shouldn't be fucking me in the ass like this. I mean, I know I don't have that many followers on Rumble, and that would explain why I don't have like as many people interacting in the chat from Rumble and seeing the videos and stuff. But Facebook, I have like hundreds of friends. I'm so popular. And still, they just put me in these fucking dog shit algorithms. So anyway, going off on a tangent, we need to get right to this. So Facebook, we're not on Facebook tonight. Tonight it's YouTube, Twitter, also known as X, to the white supremacists, and who are welcome here. And Rumble is where we're at tonight. So wherever you're at, get in the chat. I want to see you in the chat, slutting it up, mixing it up. And as I was saying with that, where I was going with that is some incentive to get up in the chat early is I just got a glimpse of who's in the chat first. Whoever's first in the chat gets a free prostate milking from me. Now, to some of you, that may sound like a blessing, a very nice gift. Some of you it may be a curse. That's okay too. But those are the rules. All right. So if you are a woman and you're in the chat first, you don't have a prostate, you aren't a trans woman, so you don't have a prostate, and I can't give you a free prostate milking or one not for free, even if I tried to charge you because you don't have a prostate. So you can gift it to a man. It makes a good Christmas, birthday gift, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all that. Valentine's Day gift, Mother's Day. Well, I guess Mother's Day wouldn't work because it can't go to a woman. Father's Day gift. There you go. And you can gift it to somebody else. So that's a cool thing. Even though you can't get it, it's, I'm not ripping you off. You can give it to somebody else. If you're a guy, you're first in the chat. You get the free prostate milking. Congratulations. You can accept it. You cannot, however, gift it to somebody else. All right? You have a prostate. You must accept the free prostate milking. Okay? I will find you. I have a particular set of skills to find people that need a milking. All right, sorry guys. Let's get White Iced Tea first in the chat. Unfucking believable. And you're not. I think you're in my same town, right? I'm gonna find you. I hope you're ready. I just lost some people because of the free prostate milking gimmick. God damn it! You guys push me to be like this. God damn you, chat. Al Pacino, you were almost first in here. Bro, you're not first. You don't get one. Sorry. It's pizza night. Oh yeah. Well, it's not prostate night because you're not first in chat, fat pig. Where the hell were you? Now I got hiccups. I'm losing viewers to the prostate milking and the hiccups. Junior Coltrane, welcome. Let's get through the chat. We got to get to this debate. Michael Earl's up in here. Welcome. Promo code lovers. Bob Cook. What's up, guys? Rainey's up in here. Is Stacy not in here? Because I saw somebody saying something about Stacy not being in here. Berto Perez, welcome. Thank you guys for. I knew that my speaker's dying. It's making noises. I knew I'd have to deal with that. Fucking bullshit. Sliz is in here. Snizzle Slizhair, lover. Welcome. Donald Ferguson. What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Scott Starbird, sir. Yes, we do. I was telling Scott in his chat that there's no way I could hate Jews. I have a Jewish penis. It's missing some of the skin. And it's got a scar around it. Guys, I wish I still had my foreskin. This is not any kind of anti-whatever talking point or something. Like, I'm truly not trying to just be a dick or something. Where is my foreskin? I seriously want it back. I could use the girth. I'm just so, I don't buy the whole thing of, oh, it's just, it's cleaner. You need to get a circumcision because it's cleaner that way, because then you don't have to wash it that intently. If you don't get a circumcision, then the dads have to teach their sons how to wash under the foreskin and da da da. That's like telling somebody they should get all their teeth pulled out so they don't have to brush their teeth. It's the same logic, and it doesn't work for me. I want my foreskin. Let's get so dark we turn black. Hey now. Easy does it. I don't want you guys breaking into cars and stealing Nikes during protests. I'm not sure what you meant by that, but still. Adam Wiley, welcome, sir, over on the Twitter. What's up? Rainey's in here slutting it up. She's selling houses, guys. Rainey's got houses to sell. She's got an island to sell. Because the Epstein case is closed now. You guys hear that? The case is closed. He's dead now, but apparently he was not running a blackmail operation. So Rainey's selling the island for the federal government. So she's got A very cheap island for sale. Richie April's up in here. I love this guy. Dark Matt Steve, did you see any of the interviews with P. Diddy's freak off workers? No, I haven't seen that yet. So, if you want, send me some. I'm sure I can find it. But yeah, we can take a look at some of that. Maybe not tonight though, because I can't be on super late, guys. Hey, Bob Cook. Oh yeah, Buzzy Bob's 4X undies. Oh fuck. Dutch Duke's in here, fucking royalty. He's a noble. He is a real duke. Oh, Sicilian's over on the Rumble. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming to check out the show. We got a good one tonight. It's a debate about Israel. Israel's a hot topic right now, guys. This is what I was talking about. It's so funny how people, Candace Owens, what's his name? The fucking Indian guy. Dinesh.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform made for...
I don't want to imagine this.
To present.
Okay. This is where I got the thumbnail. I have not watched any of this. I watched the first 30 seconds of this and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I doing?" This is a good stream.
Your job depends
debate. I love, you guys know, I love YouTube ads. My favorite thing about YouTube ads is that you get an ad that pops up at the beginning of the video just when you click on it. And then if you scroll through the video because you want to watch a certain part, then you get 2 more ads. So you get a total of 400 ads before you get to watch any of the video. I love that.
on reliable tools. That's why Harbor Freight is committed to offering quality tools to pros like
What the fuck retard AI algorithm has YouTube thinking that I need something from Harbor Freight? I just don't understand these things. We're going to play this in 5x speed. Get ready, chat.
All right, everybody. How are we all doing? So first, where were you a year ago today? I bet you remember exactly where you were. A year ago today, Donald Trump was in Butler, Pennsylvania. A year ago today, our republic was probably saved by just a couple of centimeters. A year ago today, by the grace of God and a turn of the head tilt, a bullet whizzed by Donald Trump's face and barely scraped his ear.
A year ago today, Donald Trump did the best wrestling style work in the history of man. Has everyone except me convinced that he got shot in Pennsylvania by a random white person that was on a roof with the gun, waving a gun around, had a ladder set up, had a bunch of people in the crowd yelling at the police that he's up there, and no one did anything about it.
And as we're closing out this conference, I think we just need to just remember how far our nation has come in the span of 1 year, of how much has changed. And thanks to the goodness and glory of God, that Donald Trump turned his head at that very moment.
Thank God, so much has changed, guys. Now Epstein is not guilty. He's dead, but he's an innocent man.
I'll never forget where I was with my daughter. All of a sudden, I saw we were in some workout area, and all of a sudden on screen, Donald Trump shot. You all remember where you were when you first heard the news. And then what a sigh of relief when we saw him rise up and he said, "Fight, fight, fight." 1 year ago to this day. But the reason I want to start with this is that we also lost one of our own patriots that day, Corey Compatore. And we should just do a moment of silence for 10 seconds to remember Corey Compatore that lost his life a year ago today.
Boo!
Thank you. And I know that so many of you have been to MAGA rallies. He died a hero's...
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm not Destiny. Who do I think I am? I'm in a mood tonight, guys. I don't think you're ready for this stream. Definitely not the new people. You guys aren't ready. You don't even know what you're in for. It's about to get fucking crazy.
Death. He put his body in the way and saved his daughter's lives that they may live.
Bro, no, okay. For real, I don't want to sound like Destiny when I say this, but the fact that people say, I get it. I get they're trying to be very nice and remember a guy shielding his children from the bullets. Yeah, so Sniz, I don't want to be the guy, but I think he was shot before he knew what happened. I'm totally not trying to be a piece of shit here, but I'm just trying to like maybe not maybe this isn't the thing to even be fact checking whether a dead guy, an innocent dead man, whether he's a hero or not. Maybe I'm just supposed to leave it at that. No. No, that wasn't fake. I thought I've made that clear. I talked to Scott about it and other people on here. I think those people, it's hard to argue with a corpse in the in the fucking stands, right? It's easy to argue with you know, Trump's ear looking like it had nothing happen to it. And we're not going to go down this road. We'll never get through this debate. Let's go.
The men out there, that is the best of MAGA masculinity. And Corey, we remember you today here in Tampa, Florida.
Oh yeah, this is part of the reason we're watching this. This is from Tampa. This is from yesterday, I think. Alex Stein went to this. He asked him a question. What's Steve the grumpy old man's in here, bro? I almost missed you. I scrolled past you. What's up, bro? Thank you for checking out. DMS, you're going to hell, bro. What the fuck? No, I'm not. At least not for what I just said. I've done much worse.
Our last bit of programming here is going to be a debate. As many of you guys know, I speak a lot about this on college campuses. I get so many questions about this topic on college campuses. Some of my best memories ever have been going to Israel, traveling to Israel, seeing where Jesus rose from the dead. Jesus walked on water, spoke in the Garden of Gethsemane, gave the sermon, Mount Beatitudes, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in Hebron. And some of my greatest experiences have been in the Holy Land and defending Israel. But as you know, this is a very hot topic on campus and increasingly.
I went to Israel. I got a fresh circumcision done. I let some old rabbi suck my cock while it was bloody. It was great. I love Israel.
A hot topic in conservative circles. And I thought, hey,
I got herpes from a rabbi.
Hey, let's lean into that disagreement. Let's lean into that debate. Let's have two people that don't agree on this topic that are some of the best defenders of the position when it comes to Israel.
Throat goat for Israel. Bro, sorry, Sicilian, you might not... so I have it sped up some because we have to get through this. I hate to be like that, guys. I got a lot going on. My mom is out of the hospital, but she's not doing well. And I'm crushed for time. I was there at my mom's place later today, and I had to paint and do other shit in there and just help her with a few things. Luckily, her partner seems like she's done with COVID. She got some strain of COVID, and anyway. But yeah, I've got a lot going on, guys. I have to watch this. You guys are lucky it's not at 2x. But Sicilian, I have it sped up a little bit. I mean, if it's too much, I can maybe bring it down to 1.25 instead of 1.5.
When it comes to the 12-day war, when it comes to whether or not we should be supporting or sending aid to Israel, because we as conservatives, we want to have this debate. We don't want to just all of a sudden say, oh, you're not allowed to say that. No, we want to foster an environment where we get to the truth. We want to find...
Oh, now that it's unavoidable, bro, this is what I'm talking about. Charlie Kirk is pretending like this is he has got some fucking high ground here, an ideal of we're not going to run from any topic. No topic is, we're seeking the truth. So it doesn't matter if it's painful or we have to have hard discussions and da-da-da. Bro, you have been running from this topic for how long? You've been running for years. Nick Fuentes has been trying to debate you, and anytime someone brings up Israel at one of your lectures, in at least the older videos, when someone brings up Israel, you pretty much go, "Oh, they're our greatest ally." Next question. But now we can have the talk. Now that there's Palestinian kids ripped in half on my Twitter feed every day. Looks like barbecued chicken, literally little kids that look like grilled chicken. And I had to tell my chat that it was grilled chicken so I could show the pictures on here. I'm hoping you guys were able to read between the lines that night. So now that it's unavoidable, we're going to pretend we've got some moral high ground because we're willing to have the discussion now that we're forced to. What a hero.
The best ideas and have the best ideas win. And so we are thrilled to have two men, and they know what they're talking about. I'm going to be moderating this. We're going to make sure that this remains mostly peaceful. So give it up for Josh Hammer and Dave Smith, everybody. So Josh and Dave, welcome to Turning Point USA. Welcome to Tampa. And give it up for both these men again. So we have a clock here. We can blow through that if this is going well and respectful and spirited. I first wanted to start by introducing both these men. Josh Hammer, Newsweek, Josh Hammer Show. Josh is a very passionate and eloquent defender of Israel, and also is a great friend and someone that we talk about a lot of other issues as well. So Josh, welcome. Great to have you.
Great to be here, Charlie.
Also Dave Smith. Dave is comedian. A lot of fans of yours here in the audience, Dave, and also a libertarian. And we're not going to talk much about that. But we were talking about how much we agreed backstage on certain things. And Dave, means a lot that you made work here. You took an awful flight to get here from halfway across the country. And so, Dave, you could plug your stuff as well, because I don't know the name of your show.
Don't talk to me about awful flights. I'll tell you guys about awful flights. I've taken one flight in the last 20 years, and it was dog shit.
So, but I want to start with this. I want to start with opening statements, if you will. There are three big things that I want to cover. And we just did a focus group with some of our students here earlier. The three big things we want to cover. We want to cover the 12-day war between Israel and Iran. What do we think of that? Good, bad? How did Trump handle it? Number two, we want to talk about the appeared, the fake, or the real amount of Israeli influence in American politics, from AIPAC to how congressmen are involved, and kind of have our discussion debate. And then finally, it's one thing to be against stuff, everybody. You can always, I don't like this, I don't like that. I want both of these men to present what their solution is, their proposition of what they are proposing. So with that, though, Dave, I thought it would be helpful. This is your first Turning Point event. Some people aren't familiar with your work. Introduce yourself, make an introductory statement, and the floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you very much, and thank you guys for having me. As Charlie mentioned, I took a flight here, so I'm going on no sleep. So if Josh wins, it doesn't count. But I'm a stand-up comedian, and I'm also a libertarian. I'm really a follower of the greatest congressman who's ever lived, who is Dr. Ron Paul, who is turning...
Has anyone ever seen Dave Smith do comedy? Do stand-up? I'm not trying to be a dick. He's funny sometimes when I see him, doing whatever he does and stuff. But has anyone ever seen Dave Smith do stand-up comedy?
90 years old. Happy birthday to him. And as far as... Look, I would say I think that American foreign policy for my entire life has been insane, and criminally insane. We've launched war after war. We've talked about peace through strength the whole time, but all we've gotten is permanent militarism and forever wars against countries that pose no threat to us. And a huge part of the reason why we've embarked on this is because the neoconservatives hijacked our foreign policy, and they were in power after 9/11. And the neoconservatives, as everybody who's followed it knows, were joined at the hip with the Likud party. That's just a fact. They all admit it in their own words. And you can go back and you can read the Clean Break memo. You can read the companion piece, Coping with Crumbling States. This was written by David Wormser and Richard Pearl. And they laid out their plan. Now, their plan was that to help Israel, the clean break is a break from the peace process, a break from Oslo, which was designed to give the Palestinians their own state. And these neoconservative geniuses decided that instead of the Israelis making peace with the Palestinians, they could just have the U.S. overthrow all of the surrounding governments that were giving Israel a hard time. And this is where four-star General Wesley Clark says that he saw the plans right after 9/11 to overthrow 7 countries in the next 5 years. And what was the last country on that list? It was Iran. Okay, this is a big part of what the whole conflict is about. Now, the neoconservative has kind of become like a pejorative for war hawks these days. And don't get me wrong, I support that. Keep calling them neocons. But the actual neoconservatives, the self-identified neoconservatives, aren't really in power anymore. But Benjamin Netanyahu is still in power in Israel. And the Likud party is still pushing for this. Now, I want very quickly, I'll try to not go too long here. Okay, they actually did focus groups.
Hold on, guys. Sorry. I have my Bluetooth speaker. It was dying and making noises. Fucking bullshit.
Testing back in the 90s, before the first Gulf War in Iraq. And Americans weren't really moved by, we have to reinstall the king of Kuwait, but they were moved by the nuclear threat. Now, if you go read Coping with Crumbling States or the Clean Break memo, in the 90s, when the neocons admitted they wanted to overthrow Saddam Hussein, they never said it was because he had nuclear weapons. They said he was a problem for Israel in the region. They only made up that lie after 9/11 because they knew that's what would sell you, or maybe not you, you're too young, but sell your moms and dads on going and fighting this war. And by the way, when they talked about wanting to overthrow Iran, it was the same thing. Never had nothing to do with a nuclear threat. That's just the thing they use now as the excuse. So yes, there is tremendous influence by Israel in our government. That doesn't mean I'm subscribing to some crazy conspiracy or telling you to hate Jewish people. I'm Jewish. I'm just saying they have influence. They've used it in a very negative way, and we should reject this insane foreign policy and embrace the foreign policy that Dr. Ron Paul advocated, which is the foreign policy of the founding fathers. Stay out of entangling alliances, stay out of unnecessary wars, be friends with the world, and trade with the world. That's the key to prosperity.
Thank you, Dave. Josh, opening statement. Feel free to respond, and then we'll proceed as we go. So I thought it was about 3.5, 4 minutes. So same amount of time.
All right, so it's really great to be here. Thank you, Charlie, for having me. Thank you, Turning Point, for having me back. It's really wonderful to be at this amazing conference. You know, Dave joked that he didn't get any sleep last night. Today's actually also a fast day on the Jewish calendar. I'm not eating or even drinking water, so we're all on the same page here. We're all just totally screwed. So you can kind of get off the same starting place there. Look, there's a lot of substance to respond to. I'll just really briefly.
I'm sure they found some way to cheat that. I don't know.
Do that, and then we'll talk about what I actually want to talk about in my opening remarks. Dave mentioned this alleged coordination between the neoconservatives, which I presume he means Bush-era foreign policy, and the Likud party. I presume half of you probably don't even know what the Likud party is. It's referring to the Israeli right. It's very instructive, and Dave always conveniently neglects to inform the audience of this, that the actual leader of the Israeli right back in 2002, a man by the name of Ariel Sharon, vehemently opposed the Bush administration going into Iraq. So this whole notion that Israel is talking America into foreign wars is total nonsense. Actually, in 2011, when the Obama administration toppled Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, it's actually well known that Libya actually sent...
Bro, what? Hold on. So I'll be real. I'm not going to pretend I'm more informed. Grando Reaper's up in here. What's up, Famalam? It's because I have this sped up. I have it sped up just by a little bit. What were you saying, Grando? 12-day war. What a joke. I know. My tax dollars, I worked hard. I wanted a longer war. My taxes were funding both sides of that war. I wanted a longer war. What happened? What was I going to say? So what did he say? The Likud? I forget. I'm not that familiar with this, what he's referring to. But what did he... Okay, hold on. Do we have to back this up? Are we really going to fact check? Guys, how many times did Netanyahu go before Congress and say that he knows Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and that we had to step in? What he's talking about Iraq, right? Or did he say Iran? I'm a fucking idiot.
Probably don't even know what the Likud party is. It's referring to the Israeli right. It's very instructive, and Dave always conveniently neglects to inform the audience of this, that the actual leader of the Israeli right back in 2002, a man by the name of Ariel Sharon, vehemently opposed the Bush administration going into Iraq. So this whole notion...
Yeah, Iraq. So, yeah, no. Bro, this is okay, so he's referring to one person who's supposed to be the leader of the right, yet Netanyahu himself went to Congress and said that he knows for a fact that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. So this guy's kind of, I don't know about this.
That Israel is talking America into foreign wars is total nonsense. Actually, in 2011, when the Obama administration toppled Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, it's actually well known that Libya actually sent secret diplomatic envoys to Israel, trying to tell them to then talk to the United States and France to talk NATO off of that attack there. So this whole narrative is totally backwards there. But I want to kind of dumb things down a little bit here. I see a lot of people wearing 47 hats. I voted for President Trump multiple times. I love our president. You guys love our president, right? You love President Trump? Okay. This is Turning Point freaking USA. Charlie, God bless you. You have built the largest MAGA grassroots army in the country. Seriously, my friend, you deserve this. You all are card-carrying members of it. We here are part of that. The good news is that while no one should be afraid of debate, and this debate is a nice thing here, the MAGA movement is actually quite unified. Believe it or not, all the talk to the contrary when it comes to these issues. An overwhelming majority of self-identified MAGA Republicans support close U.S.-Israel relations. According to a CBS News poll, moreover, after the recent Operation Midnight Hammer B-2 bombers in Iran, 94% of self-identified MAGA Republicans supported President Trump's dropping those B-2 bombs on Fort Natanz and the other Iranian facilities there. This is a wildly popular policy there. What did Dave Smith say about this? He re-upped his now years-long crusade to call for Donald Trump's impeachment. Y'all probably don't know that about Dave Smith, too. He's now called for Donald Trump to be impeached multiple times. But Dave, look, I don't like when people misquote me either. You probably don't like when people misquote you. So I actually have a little bit of a highlight reel here of Dave Smith's tweets over the years. Dave Smith, March 19th, 2024. Donald Trump is responsible for around 500,000 deaths in Yemen, and between the weapons to Ukraine and the Abraham Accords Jerusalem embassy, he is at least partially responsible for the two worst humanitarian crises in the world. He's a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. He is calling Donald Trump a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. You should be living...
What? Okay, is this guy really just like trying to suck off the crowd right now? Does he's like, oh, look how many MAGA hats I see out there. Dave Smith would really hate it if I read these tweets. You guys are gonna hate these tweets. I'm gonna win this debate.
That I am that as a Trump supporter. Donald Trump, Dave Smith, June 16, 2025. Trump allegedly had full prior knowledge of Israel's attacks and gave it his blessing while pretending to be negotiating with the Iranians as a cover. If this is true, Trump is the most impotent bitch of a leader imaginable. He's calling our president, the greatest president in my lifetime, an impotent bitch. Are you kidding me? June 21st, 2025.
This is so cheap. This is cheap. I feel like this might be relevant if, or not so cheap. expensive if these were tweets where Dave Smith was talking shit about Trump supporters. I would say, oh, that's juicy. Like if you were actually saying every MAGA person is so retarded because of this and this, you voted for this and Trump is doing this now, you're retarded. That would be different. And I feel like that might even be fair because that's like Dave Smith was talking shit about the audience before he even got in front of the audience. But these are just tweets about Trump. This is Dave Smith speaking his mind about things that Donald Trump has done that he greatly disagrees with. I mean, what, I don't know. This just seems cheap.
Trump
Let's
has now
not lose
launched
someone who
an illegal
decided to
war of
spend time
aggression
with
against
people.
Iran. The risk of an absolute catastrophe is very high, and the benefits are non-existent. Dave Smith, June 21st. Dead wrong. This notion that World War III would start, not a single American casualty. We should be celebrating that. Donald Trump fulfilled multiple campaign promises. The escalator speech in 2015 at Trump Tower, he literally said, I'm not going to let Iran get a nuclear weapon. And guess what? He said, I oppose a neoconservative foreign policy. He did both of those things with Iran. He deprived the Iranian regime of nuclear weapon while not losing a single American sailor, soldier, Marine, while depriving them of nuclear weapons. And finally, Charlie, I'll end on this.
Is that what it looks like? Interesting. Trying to go back to where Grando, there is a montage of clips of 30 years Netanyahu saying just 2 more weeks Iran will have nukes. Guy's a fraud. I know I've seen the montage. I don't know how far back it goes. But yeah, I have seen that. I've seen the timeline. Someone did make a timeline that I saw on Twitter where it said every time Netanyahu told, at least it may have not been to Congress or something, but he publicly stated that Iran is such and such until they have a nuclear weapon. And it was always a month, a week, it's 2 weeks, it's tomorrow. Actually, yesterday they made one. And it's like, that's like years and years apart every time that he mentioned that. I did see that at least.
Dave Smith, July 8, 2025. In the last month, Donald Trump has launched a war of aggression on behalf of a foreign government, exploded the debt, announced that he's continuing the Biden policy of arming Ukraine, and covered up a giant child rape operation. So according to my interlocutor, Donald Trump is not just engaging in wars on behalf of foreign governments, he is also covering up the world's giant pedophilic child sex trafficking ring, allegedly, I presume, on behalf of a foreign government as well. So I'm disgusted, frankly, that this man is on stage, but I'll end it there.
Okay, well, got it. So you can see peace is hard. I'm trying to keep the peace. Now, Dave, I want to give you an opportunity, about 4 minutes to respond to that. But also, I do want to, now that we had the opening salvos and the Tomahawk missiles launched, let's respond as you see fit. No, and then bring us to the 12-day war, because let's stay focused on that.
Yeah.
We can.
Well, the thing, Charlie,
but
is
defend yourself.
Sure.
Obviously.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, as you may have noticed, some of you may have seen some of my other debates. Every single time, I come up here to debate issues, and they come up here to debate me and my character. It's all they have every single time, because they can't actually take on any of the arguments. And so the most pathetic, low-hanging fruit of you guys like Trump. This guy said bad things about Trump. Listen, guys.
Oh my God! It's like, bro, this is my first time watching this. I'm so glad. I'm not stealing, I'm not stealing things from this video to pause it and say before it happens. I'm happy Dave Smith picked up on that this is that's really cheap stuff.
I'm a free American. I supported Donald Trump in this last election. Yes, he did just actively cover up a giant child rapist ring, and I'm going to criticize.
Good point. Eat More's up in here. What's up, Familam? Thanks for joining us. Do you deny that I ran? Oh, that's, yeah. You and Grando are going back and forth. Nuclear weapons. Yeah, so I don't deny it, but I trust the guy that cried wolf for 30 years. So bro, we were watching something on this. God, who was debating this? Who the fuck were we watching? It depends who you listen to in the Iranian government, right? Like there's different quotes from different leaders that have been in Iran, and they say different things, like that they don't want nuclear weapons and this and that, and then you'll find one that says that that they do, that they're trying to develop them and this and that, and I don't fucking know. God, who the fuck were we watching? I'm trying to remember.
Him for that, okay? And I'm sorry, after all these years of us right-wingers saying, protect the children, come on, that's bad for your soul if you don't. You speak up about that. It's horrible what he's doing. And, you know, as far as the actual substance of what Josh said here, which there really wasn't much, but I already pointed this out the last time we debated, his topic about how Sharon was against the war in Iraq is total nonsense. Sharon's envoy initially opposed it when he found out that Bush was going to invade Iraq, not because he didn't want Saddam Hussein to be overthrown, but because he wanted regime change in Iran first. And then when the George W. Bush administration assured him that Iran would come next, they got on board with it and they started pumping out all types of propaganda about how Saddam Hussein's nuclear secret sites that didn't exist. And Benjamin Netanyahu, the longest serving prime minister in Israeli history, that year in 2002 came to Congress and testified under a congressional testimony that anyone can go watch, and advocated not that the U.S. let Israel do it, but that the U.S. overthrow Saddam Hussein. I believe his words were, "I guarantee that peace will spread through the region." And he also advocated that we overthrow Muammar Gaddafi and the mullahs in Iran. So you're just wrong about it. That's not true. And yes,
What'd I say? Bro, that was such a bullshit point. This Dave Smith might actually have this in the bag tonight. That's crazy, because this guy started off with he thought he dropped a fucking nuke, pulling out a literal printed out piece of paper with Dave Smith's tweets on it. He thought that was just like a slam dunk and the debate was over, and it was so fucking cheap.
I've been critical of Donald Trump when I think he gets things wrong. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we should do. This is America. You criticize the government when they get things wrong. And so I don't even know what
Josh, wait one sec, Josh. I got to keep the peace here. Dave, about a minute-ish.
Okay.
No, I'm taking our time.
Look, as far as
take about a minute and a half and try to do the 12-day war thing.
Yeah, sure. As far as the 12-day war goes, I mean, look, I'll be honest. Donald Trump, it might be the greatest thing he's ever done in his life, that at the end of the 12-day war, he after the Iranian response was as weak as it was, and they gave us advanced warning, so there were no American casualties, he started pushing for a ceasefire. And that was great that he did that. But the point is that the war never needed to be launched to begin with. Iran did not have nuclear weapons. Iran, according to all of the intelligence, including our director of national intelligence, until a day after Israel bombed them, and she changed her mind, go read the annual threat assessment from earlier this year. Iran had not made the political decision to acquire a nuclear weapon, and they were in negotiations with Donald Trump at the time to bring their enrichment down. There was just no need, other than the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu wants that regime overthrown.
Josh.
Dude, wasn't the guy? Oh my God, I should keep track of this shit more. But there was a fucking Iranian leader that was talking about negotiating with Israel, and they bombed him. That was one of the guys that they fucking took out, was one of the guys that was talking about not wanting to have nuclear weapons and wanting to negotiate. He got killed in one of the fucking bombings.
Feel free to respond.
Yeah, I'd be curious if Dave Smith also believes in the tooth fairy and pink unicorns. I mean, what lie does Dave Smith not believe, frankly? Look, the recent 12-day war is literally the encapsulation of the Trump doctrine of foreign policy. Donald Trump ran against neoconservatism. He is not a neoconservative. That's good, because neoconservatism is actually really, really bad. I actually have a whole chapter in my book, Israel and Civilization, talking about how bad neoconservatism is. It's chapter 7. If you haven't read, you should go ahead and pick up a copy. So it's really good that Donald Trump opposes moralistic, nation-building boondoggles. Guess what Donald Trump is also not, and never has been since day one? He's never been a hardcore isolationist. He is a foreign policy nationalist and realist. We would say that he is a Jacksonian. He is in the mold of Andrew Jackson, one of his favorite presidents of all time, because he believes in generally following the very wise advice of George Washington in his farewell address. You should beware of foreign entanglements. But when you are attacked, you are going to punch back 3 times as hard. How many times has Trump said that in a debate there? When he's punched, he's going to punch back really, really, really hard. What happened in the 12-day war was you had a close ally, Israel, that through their wonderful control of the skies, and they're taking out the missile launchers and the IRGC command there, essentially paved a very clean runway through that, and they're neutralizing Hezbollah last year in 2024, that then allowed the United States to come in with the B-2 bombers in the death blow. It was a perfect alley-oop for you basketball fans. It was kind of like Kobe Bryant tossing it to Shaquille O'Neal back in the way. It was a perfect tag team operation to neutralize and set back by many years the threat of a regime that, whether or not we care to admit it, has actually been at war with the United States at least since the 1983 Beirut, Lebanon, Hezbollah barracks bombings that slaughtered 241 Marines, arguably since the 1979 hostage crisis as well. Again, Donald Trump fulfilled multiple campaign promises. He set back the nuclear program. Not a single American soldier, sailor, or Marine died. It was a brilliant, brilliant move of statesmanship, a fantastical move. Frankly, it's a borderline Mount Rushmore worthy accomplishment, I would say.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to insert myself because I don't want us to talk
Mount Rushmore worthy.
past each other because these
Based.
conversations have a tendency to do that. So I'm going to ask both of you a critical question that both of you guys already launched. Josh, to you first. Dave's contention, and Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the nuclear program was not a threat, correct? That it was a intel push. Would you even say that? I'm strong-manning your argument, steel-manning it. Josh, what do you have to say to that, to the veracity of the claim that there was an imminent threat of Iran getting a nuclear bomb? That is a core point of Dave's argument. Then, Dave, I'm going to throw back an equally difficult question for you. Josh.
Okay, so I profess agnosticism as to the imminent nature, Charlie, because I have not seen the reports. Neither have you, neither has Dave. Literally, no one in this room has actually seen the report. So I do not know literally what the exactly imminent nature of the threat was. It would be impossible for me to say. I'm not going to bullshit you and pretend like I know because I simply don't know. What I can say is the following. Iran has transparently and obviously been trying to acquire a nuclear weapon for 2.5, 3 decades. We know this for approximately 1 to 2 million different reasons. Among them that we can point to is that the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Administration, which is essentially the nuclear watchdog for the United Nations, they have been sounding the alarm about this, and they have said very loudly and clearly that Iran has blocked their inspectors from going to inspect their enriched uranium, and that they have concluded over recent years, especially including recent months, that Iran is enriching uranium at a much quicker rate and to a much higher percentage and rate of enrichment than any civilian program would ever justify. By the way, the notion that Iran even needs a civilian program in the first place, I think is kind of bonkers. It's one of the most petroleum, oil, and gas-rich countries in the world, so that's kind of a bit of a red herring in and of itself. But we know from a million different international organizations that they have been doing this. And Charlie, more to the point, again, Dave likes to say, oh, they just chant death to America, which they do. They literally chant it every single day in their Potemkin parliament. But they actually do act on it. They killed hundreds and hundreds of American soldiers on the roadside of Fallujah, Al-Anbar province during Iraq with Qasem Soleimani-supplied IEDs. They have killed Americans going back to 241 Marines in Beirut, Lebanon. By the way, the Hezbollah jihadists who organized that operation to slaughter those Marines in Beirut, Lebanon in 1983 was a man by the name of Fuad Shakur. The U.S. State Department had a $5 million bounty on his head following the 1983 slaughter of the Marines there in Beirut. He went alive for 41 years. You know who killed him last year? The IDF. Israel took out this guy that the State Department had a $5 million bounty on for 41 years for killing 241 of our boys back in 1983 in Beirut.
So I'm going to now ask.
Because they thought he was a child with a box of food, donated box of food from some humanitarian place. They thought it was a child, so they bombed it. Turns out it was a guy that the U.S. has been trying to kill this whole time.
I'm going to a really tough follow-up for you. You do not want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. Bad. Would you, if it ever...
I'm just joking, guys. But kind of trying to make a point, too. Donald Ferguson, no missiles needed when an atmosphere filled with... hold on, the chat moved. Photophoretic, paramagnetic, polymorphic, metallic salts. Oh. Weak? That's all you got, bro? That's all I want to have.
Took if it required U.S. troops on the ground, would that be worth Iran not getting a nuclear weapon?
Charlie,
I'm just joking. It's for real. We're joking.
With respect, I reject the premise. I simply do not think it does. Actually,
I know it's a hypothetical, but it's worth thinking about. Okay, Dave.
Okay, hold on. We missed that hypothetical because of Snizzle Slizair. It was his fault. Asked me a question or he said something. I don't remember.
Charlie, with respect, I reject the premise. I simply do not think it does. Actually,
I know it's a hypothetical, but
what? Okay.
Of Fuad Shakur. The U.S. State Department had a $5 million bounty on his head following the 1983 slaughter of the Marines there in Beirut. He went alive for 41 years. You know who killed him last year? The IDF. Israel took out this guy that the State Department had a $5 million bounty on for 41 years for killing 241 of our boys back in 1983 in Beirut.
So I'm going to now ask, John, I'm going to a really tough follow-up for you. You do not want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. Bad. Would you, if it ever took, if it required U.S. troops on the ground, would that be worth Iran not getting a nuclear weapon?
Charlie, with respect, I reject the premise. I simply do not think it does. Actually,
I know it's a hypothetical, but it's worth thinking about. Okay, Dave. I got to ask you tough questions now. Okay?
Yeah, I want to respond to some of this stuff because all of that's wrong.
You will. Hold on. I don't want us to talk past each other, or else we're going to spend all this time on prime ministers in 2002 that the audience doesn't know about.
No, but if he's making claims about like something that's
fair
just
enough.
not true.
I want you to get to that. I want to just ask a very simple question. From your perspective, because I just asked the tough one to Josh, are you okay, or do you think we should do anything to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
Anything, sure. Yeah, there's lots of things I think we should do.
Is military action ever justified?
Well, again, yes, there are times when military action is justified, but if you're saying what we could do to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, what we were doing, Donald Trump was in negotiations with them, and I think he should have continued those. And the truth is that the big problem with the JCPOA that Obama got us into was that there were sunset provisions. They opened up a whole new inspections regime. It is not true that the IAEA is saying that Iran was about to get a nuclear weapon. Anybody you want, it's published online. You can go read the conclusion of their last report where they explicitly said Iran does not have nuclear weapons and is not trying to develop them. They are enriching at 60%, and they were in negotiations to maybe bring that down. But when you bring up the fact of the Marines getting killed in 1983, it's actually an interesting. If Ronald Reagan.
I have it sped up, you son of a bitch, but he also does talk a little faster. Does not seem like it. Like what? I'm joking. I actually thought that was a funny joke. It wasn't thought out enough when I delivered it. I was still getting it, ironed out in my head. I'm a little baked. I'm just seeing what the chat's been arguing about. Damn! Is that at me or Dave Smith? Bro, why do you, for real, why do you trust... Okay. I don't trust either side of this issue. Foreign countries, I don't even trust my own government. Of course I don't trust Iran. But, okay, so I would like to see, I guess we could, I wish I wasn't so pressed for time, so we could fact check a little bit more. I'm interested to see this thing Dave Smith is talking about, this report saying that Iran doesn't have them and whatever. I mean, dude, Israel has wasn't that one of the things that JFK got pissed off about, that they lied about? Didn't they show JFK a fucking fake nuclear facility or something like that, and he got pissed off? He was like, they just fucking lied or whatever. I mean, dude, Israel plays these fucking games too. Both sides of this are playing fucking games. We're getting involved in a fucking religious war. That's because the U.S. is a Christian nation. We can't keep our hands out of a good religious war. Dude, okay, so, you trust Israel with... I'm assuming, Sniz, and I'm not trying to call you or anyone out specifically, but, I mean... I'm assuming you guys are okay with Israel having one, right? I just don't understand why, dude. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like in a lot of situations too that are recent now, it feels like people are it seems like people on both sides willing to negotiate, and then Netanyahu just fucking drops a bomb on their head. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't see why there isn't some way that we can have some kind of transparency with Iran to where we can trust but verify that they're not building one, and not just bomb their fucking facilities because Netanyahu said whatever he said.
Reagan, who was president at the time, he wrote about this in his memoir. Now, if you know what Ronald Reagan did, was he pulled out after that. He turned tail and run. And he said in his memoir, he said, I underestimated the irrationality of Middle Eastern politics, and we never should have gotten involved in that. Now, if you want to say that Iran backed them, okay, a couple years after that, Charlie, there was a scandal in the Reagan...
Yeah, but Israel... Okay, hold on. All right, so I guess I don't want to get too hung up on this. Are you... Okay, I feel like there's two different questions. Maybe this isn't something I know enough about. I don't, like I said before, guys. Anything I know about Israel, I'm forced to know now because of the dead bodies that I see on Twitter and stuff. I have to. I don't want to know about any of this. I don't care. I don't care about the history of Israel. I don't want to know. I don't want to know who their past prime ministers were or their current one. I'm fucking just like, I don't care. I'm forced to know any of this. And it's fucking ridiculous. But I don't know enough to really have this conversation. But what I was going to say is, Sniz, in terms of trusting, okay. Like I said, I don't even trust our own government. Are you saying, I'm assuming this is a response you're asking, or when I asked, do you trust Israel in terms of their nuclear capabilities and or whether or not they would use one? Now, there's two different ways to look at this. You said Israel is our proxy in the region. Okay, so are you saying there's so many layers to this. Are you saying you personally trust them, or are you saying our government should trust them? Right? And then there's also to peel back, okay, so if our government should trust them, do you trust our government? I mean, for real, man. I don't fucking trust Netanyahu. I don't trust the Israeli government. I'm sorry. We've had too many, there's all of these situations with them spying on us and shit. The USS Liberty deal, we all know. Don't we? They're supposed to be our ally. I feel like they use us as their ally to benefit them. And then what are our benefits? Besides getting spied on and having our Navy ships sunk.
Administration. It was the something
and buildings being brought down, possibly.
Contra, Iran-Contra, that's right. Ronald Reagan was selling weapons to the Iranians a couple years after this happened. So to come back now 40 plus years later and use that as the excuse why we got to go to war with Iran, I mean, just think about how crazy this is. And the stuff he said about the roadside bombs in Iraq is just not true. It's been debunked. It's more war propaganda that's been debunked. I highly recommend anyone can read the book Enough Already.
Josh,
I highly recommend people read the book Enough Already. It is the best book that's been written about the terror wars by Scott Horton. He has all the footnotes in there. You can go through it yourself. It's completely debunked. Those roadside bombs were built by Shiites in Iraq. Now, some of them did have relationships with Iran, but the majority of Iraq is Shiite. So yes, we invaded the next door country and we got into some fights with the Shiite groups there. But you say that's a reason why we now have to invade Iran or we have to bomb them or something? It just doesn't make any sense.
So one or two really quick follow-ups, and then we'll do this. Both sides need to get under good cross-examination. Do you think it would be bad if Iran got a nuclear bomb?
Yes, I think it's bad. I think it's bad.
And I think we can all agree on that. That is a moral agreement.
I don't think anybody should be allowed to have nuclear weapons secretly.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adam Ferrari, and I'm here to announce some really exciting news.
Right, and so
how about that?
I will ask Josh about that because that's a not so subtle dig at Israel.
Hold on, are you suggesting that Israel has nuclear weapons?
I don't know. Actually, they probably do.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know the intelligence. I'm not that of DNI, but I mean they probably do. But let me ask you, Dave. Now another question. What is your now? Let's just say criticism. No U.S. troops were killed. It required no U.S. troops on the ground. There was no war. It lasted 12 days. Fordo was pretty eliminated. I mean, even the Iranians say it. So looking at it now, 12 days later, what is your problem with what seems to be a masterclass in 12 days, in, out, no problem, no U.S. troops? We've kind of moved on. What would your problem with that be?
I think, and I do think there's something really sick and poisoning about this, is that our country has become so addicted to war that if we launch a war and you go, well, hey, it wasn't a complete catastrophe. I mean, 1 million people didn't die in this one like in Iraq, or hundreds of thousands didn't die in this one like in Afghanistan or Libya or Syria. It's like, okay, look, people died in this war. Okay, there were both Iranian civilians and Israeli civilians who died in this war. There's a terrible thing for them and their families. This was a catastrophe. And my point is that the war never needed to be launched to begin with. But there's no reason why we even have to be enemies with Iran. They oppose this is a third world country in the Middle East that does not have nuclear weapons, does not have intercontinental ballistic missiles, does not have an air force capable of hitting us with anything. This is Israel's problem. We don't need to be involved in that. Sorry, we got our own issues here. And look, again, I'll give Donald Trump credit that, okay, it didn't turn into a catastrophe. He took the off-ramp when he had the chance. But look, a lot of that was out of Donald Trump's control. The risk of this war, like a lot of people love to, like Josh likes to read my tweets when I was saying this could turn into a catastrophe.
Because you were dead wrong. You look stupid.
Oh.
Josh. Guys, don't say.
No.
Let's de-escalate the stupid
No, actually, what Josh is saying is the lowest IQ argument that anyone can make. I was warning that there's a risk of a catastrophe, and he's saying you're stupid because there wasn't a catastrophe. This is on the level of playing Russian roulette, and if the bullet doesn't go off, you go, see, dummy, you were warning that could go bad. That doesn't prove anything. Listen, for all you...
Very, very good analogy. That's lots of weak sauce getting served up over here.
Guys, you talking about how big and bad the Iranians are and what a scary threat they are. What if they hadn't given us advance notice? What if Iran was actually as suicidal as people like Josh pretend they are? And what if their response had killed a few hundred Americans in the region, which by all military assessments, they are capable of doing? What would Donald Trump have had to do then, Charlie? What would he?
I'm the moderator.
No. Okay, sorry.
Like, come on.
Yeah, well, we know what side you're on. Hold on.
What if Iran was actually as suicidal as people like Josh pretend they are? And what if their response had killed a few hundred Americans in the region, which by all military assessments, they are capable of doing? What would Donald Trump have had to do then, Charlie? What would he?
I'm the moderator.
No. Okay, sorry.
Like, come on, Dave.
It was a rhetorical question.
I know, but both sides are getting tough questions here.
The point is, Donald Trump would have had to respond even harder.
I mean, would have. Were going to happen. It's not living in reality.
Let's give Josh a chance to respond.
Yes,
but first,
it didn't happen. It's a counterfactual.
All
You hadn't have had breakfast this morning.
When people talk over each other, they don't like listening to that. So that's why I'm here. Josh, I want you to respond to that. But to Dave's point, do you think Israel has a secret nuclear program, and is that a problem?
Yeah, I think it's not particularly disputed that Israel has a nuclear program. We know exactly where it is based. This is not a particularly hidden thing there. I mean, it's so well known, in fact, Charlie, that I don't know exactly why it's officially a secret. Unofficially, it's not much of a secret. I'm non-Israeli. I have no idea why the exact policy is the way it is. I don't particularly have a program with it. As I said, it's one of the world's worst kept secrets. It kind of just is what it is. But more generally speaking, I don't understand why we're going so far down this rabbit hole of would have, could have, should have. The people, look, let's say something very simple here. The people who said that Donald Trump's involvement in the 37-hour operation of the B-2 bombers flying from Missouri to Iran and back with not a single shot fired at our boys. By the way, as I said, that was partially due to the fact that the IDF had so neutralized the Iranian Air Force and their defenses there. So the fact that he was able to accomplish that so amazingly there, we should have seen that coming, because it was actually pretty easily foreseeable. And the people who did not see that coming are the people who have lost credibility to comment, frankly, on these affairs. People who warned about thousands and thousands and thousands of dead American lives, who said that China and Russia would swoop in and that this would be World War III. Well, you know what? God bless you all, because you apparently survived World War III. It was the shortest World War III of all of our lifetimes.
Ooh,
and
I didn't say any of that. So what are you?
Dave,
Woo! We survived, guys. Everybody pat yourselves on the back. Chat, pat yourselves on the back. You survived World War III.
Strain Josh. Josh, keep going.
Again, this is the Donald Trump foreign policy doctrine in action. It is quick surgical strikes. Roger Stone was talking about earlier. It's exactly right. He is not a neocon. Neoconservatism, bad. Isolationism, also naive and stupid. Donald Trump agrees with both those things. The nationalist, realist, MAGA, America First approach to foreign policy is to have strong nationalist allies that are generally capable of securing and patrolling their own regions in a way that redounds not merely to the allies' national interest, but also to the American national interest. That is exactly what Israel has been doing for 40, 50 years as they have taken out.
You know what? This guy, to just score fairly here, I don't see why people are surprised that Trump is like getting involved in shit. Bro, what I mean, this is the thing. I feel like there are different people that interpret Trump differently and voted for him for different reasons. I feel like there were some people, and this included me for the first time, Trump ran. We all heard Trump say fucking bomb the hell out of him. They would ask him about some random country. It could have been one he didn't even know about. He just had heard of that country. He just says bomb the hell out of him. I like it. It's funny, you know? And the thing is, like, I think there were some of us that interpreted that and were like, you know what? Trump being in office and being scary in a funny way. Granted, it's funny for some of the people that support him, but it's scary if you're if you're a leftist or, you know, like someone in some other country. It's scary to see a fucking, you know, a bloated Ronald McDonald fucking on you know, whatever the fuck pharmaceuticals they have him on, just at the wheel. Okay, that's scary. And some of us interpreted that and they said, well, you know, and what happened with North Korea? It was the first time a sitting president had actually shook the hand of the leader of North Korea. You know, and it's like, it's sort of, some of us thought, at least I can speak for myself, and I know other people thought this too, that Trump talking the way he did, what might be enough of a deterrent to stop shit from actually popping off. It's like having a sign in your yard that says, beware of dog. Dog will fucking kill you. Private property, do not enter. Beware of deadly dog, will shoot intruders, all that. It's like having those signs up in your yard. It's like, yeah, is someone saying that they are going to shoot you? Are they like kind of like, you know, threatening that they're going to fucking shoot you or sick their fucking dog on you. Yeah, but that might actually work to make it so that that never happens. Because if you don't have the signs up, someone isn't going to see the signs and go, hey, maybe I'll think twice about this. Whereas, if you don't have the signs up, someone might actually come onto your property and break in, and you have to shoot them. So, but it shouldn't be a surprise that Trump is getting involved in foreign shit. This guy does have a good point.
Islamists and Sharia supremacist thugs in Gaza, in Yemen, Hezbollah. I mentioned Fuad Shakur.
Oh, fuck, Unity. Bro, is this Unity, my dude? Oh, yeah, over on the Rumble. What's up, bro? Thanks for coming to check out the stream. Let's see. Israel, for lack of a better term, has run America for a long time. McCarthyism was a warning about it. Nixon also knew and was cooped by them. Cooped. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, that's based. Dude, Unity, I'm just like, for real? I don't know. That sounds a little anti-Semitic, and I think you should not be opposed to some other government running our government. I mean, if it's a government besides Israel, you can make a fuss about it. But if you oppose Israel running our government, that's hate speech.
Jihadi who killed 241 Marines in Beirut, Lebanon, 1983. There's a million examples there. That is the definition of an America First ally. And what has happened in the 12-day war is an encapsulation of the America First Trump doctrine. In this case, this tag team between the U.S. and Israel against the mutual threat of Iran in action.
Okay, so I want to now move because it's important, but it's connected. So I think we have on full display a difference of opinion on the 12-day war. Now let's go to the next one. It's inferred in both of these points, but you only get to answer as yes or no one at a time. Is Israel an ally of the United States?
Yes, of course.
No.
Okay, so now we have disagreement. We're going to now figure that out. And then I want to then indicate in that is Israel influencing American politics? So I'm going to start with Josh, and then we'll go back to Dave. You say Israel is an ally. Spend a minute on that, and then address how some people have concerns.
Is this next question a question?
That Israel is influenced in the U.S. government, and then I'll allow Dave to have some time. Josh.
All right, there's multiple reasons why Israel's an ally. First and foremost, I think most people in this room are believers of some stripe, right? I am Jewish. Most of you are probably Christians, and God bless you for that. If you have any attachment whatsoever to the holy sites, if you have any attachment whatsoever to this narrow strip of land between the river and the sea, as the Hamas propagandists call it, then you're going to have some reason to care about this particular sliver of land. That's point number one. Let's just kind of get it out there, especially if you understand that we in Western civilization are fundamentally at war with barbarism being best represented by the Islamists and Sharia supremacists. When you understand that Western civilization really just is the Bible, there is a special calling to have an ally with a certain parts of the Middle East. That's point one. Point two is just the Islamist deterrent point, Charlie, which is that America has faced jihadism time and time again, going back for 40, 50 years. 9/11, obviously the most tragic example. We just saw it again on the streets of Bourbon Street in New Orleans on January 1st, just a few months ago there. If you care about deterring Islamism from conquering Western civilization, a point that you have very astutely been talking about a lot recently on your TV hits and social media, a very, very important point. If you care about defending Western civilization from the barbarians, you absolutely have to place a special premium on this particular relationship. And then third is that if you actually care as I do, paradoxically, I actually care a lot about China. In fact, I think that America's by far number one biggest threat this century is China. If you care about effectuating this broader pivot to the Indo-Pacific, as American foreign policy people have been talking about for 20, 30 years now, you have to have some way of stabilizing the Middle East. The way to do that is not just adopt the stupid and asinine Barack Obama foreign policy of appeasing America's enemies. And the way to do that is to embolden your allies. Again, that is the Trump doctrine.
So we didn't get to the second part of the question. So do you want to start on the ally, and then we'll do, you can incorporate both.
Well,
Dave. He had two answers in a row, so take 3 to 4 minutes.
Well, look, this idea that the great battle of our time is us versus the Islamists, us versus these barbarians, that's really the problem here in the United States.
Steve, the grumpy old man, sir, thank you for checking out the stream. I appreciate it. If you could please hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. Everybody, if you're watching, please hit the like button just to give your boy a little support. And get up in the chat if you disagree. Saying I agree we need to tighten illegal immigration. You're saying I got the liberal mind virus? Or who, Dave Smith? Damn, Junior Coltrane fucking hates Dave Smith. Bro, we were like, I mean, the line was, okay, Sniz, I think the line was getting a little bit more blurred than I would prefer. Both with Ukraine and all the other situations. Yeah. I don't like. Okay, I've mentioned it before in here. I don't like our politicians' signatures on bombs that get dropped on little kids in other countries. I say that's very much blurring the lines. What platforms are you on? If you're talking, I think you're talking to me. Tonight we're on YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. Fucking yeah, with this I'm doing StreamYard. I use StreamYard, and the version I pay for is like the cheapest one, and it lets you do 3 destinations. So that's what I'm going with. Yeah, sometimes I mix up Facebook in there, give or take Rumble. But yeah, I've been doing a little bit more stuff on Rumble because here and there my videos get decent views. I need more people to hit the follow if they're watching on Rumble. Sons of bitches. Goddamn conspiracy theorists. Hit the fucking like button and the follow. Is it that hard? Guarantee you'd hit the follow button if I was trying to sling ivermectin, you motherfuckers.
United States of America, Lebanon. That's what you got to worry about. Listen, I think everyone here, all you guys should know this at this point. Our problem in America is the deep.
Hi, my name's Barbara O'Neill. I want to sell you ivermectin. Please buy some ivermectin.
Deep state of the United States of America, okay? They're the ones who framed Donald Trump for treason. His own intelligence agencies framed the sitting U.S. president. And you know what that deep state wants, by the way? Permanent war. That's what they always want. That's how they and their friends make their money. And so all of this talk is just so ridiculous, man. I mean, this talk about how, like, if you care about the holy sites in Israel, like, okay, sure. Obviously, Christians and Jews and Muslims have a connection to that land. But that doesn't mean we have to bomb Iran for Israel. That doesn't... Well, we just bombed Iran. That was the first topic. Oh, okay. Anyway, that doesn't mean that we have to support Israel slaughtering people in Gaza. None of that has anything to do with the holy sites. And in fact, a lot of sites get destroyed when there's bombs flying. But listen, the real problem for America, if you want to even talk about like the Islam taking over America or taking over Europe, well, how did that happen? That happened because we completely destabilized the region, fighting war after war after war that did nothing but slaughter hundreds of thousands of people. And then our Western governments had the most insane open immigration policy that was basically suicidal. We're doing this to ourselves. We're $37 trillion in debt, and we're looking for another enemy to go fight.
Dude, that's what I was thinking. Like, bro, the West protecting itself from, basically they're saying crazy brown people that are in a suicide cult called Islam. That's basically what Josh Hammer is saying. That we need an ally in the region, and that's a fair point. But it's like, bro, half of the issues that we're seeing with this is these people basically invading Western nations all over Europe. It's getting turned into it's a joke, right? These are like terrible, but accurate memes where they show Paris and it looks like a shithole. There's trash all by the Eiffel Tower. It's goddamn trash everywhere and homeless fucking Muslim people and shit. And then they block the streets to do prayer and shit. And like, it's just like, this is like where the harm is immigration policies that have cultures mixing in a way that they're not good for each other. I mean, it's like people got to make up their minds. But Ann Coulter was one of the first people I saw that made this really fair point. And I get there's going to be some people that are actually racist pieces of shit, and they're going to use this logic to, as a tool to be a proponent of racist ideas, you could say. But it's like, if you appreciate Germany or fucking Italy or wherever, if you actually value it, you won't want there to be diversity there and fucking bridled, unfiltered immigration. It's going to change the culture. It's going to change the country. So it's like, okay, do you want to risk looking racist and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't maybe we should, keep some places the way they are if we actually appreciate them, right? You can't just like let them go completely out of control in terms of the culture and the way of life. Or do you say, oh, well, I'm scared to be called racist, so let's turn Ireland into fucking Ethiopia?
The collapse of the Soviet Union, we've spent $20 trillion on empire and wars. And you know what? We can't tax enough money to pay for it. We can't borrow enough money to pay for it. So what do? We print the money. And now you guys are coming out into the world and you're wondering why you're 6 figures in debt from college and you're getting a job at DoorDash and the average house goes for 800 grand because we've destroyed the currency chasing these monsters that were never any threat to our country.
So
listen, one quick point. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis couldn't bring down America. Joseph Stalin and the commies couldn't bring down America. The British Empire couldn't bring down America. But you think the Hezbollah in Lebanon are a threat to us? They're a problem for Israel to deal with.
Say that to the families of the Beirut barracks bombing in 1983. Seriously, say that to them. Have you spoken to the families of the people who have been killed in 1983 in Beirut, Lebanon, people who have been killed by those IEDs in Iraq that you're just casually dismissing? Have you actually spoken to these families?
First of all, yes, I have.
The 9/11 families, any of them?
Yes, I have.
Are you aware of Iran's?
Have you spoken to the families? This is where we're going. Is there someone new in here? This is Bob. Oh, dude, I have it sped up. Yeah, I have it sped up. That's my fault. I can't be on super late, so I got this sped up.
Involved in 9/11?
Yeah, okay. So you're just asking me questions over
Guys,
my attempt to answer them. Stupid.
This is why I'm here.
But welcome, Bob. Thank you for checking out the stream.
Grand Canyon University offered
We're just doing a little debate review deal.
nearly $161 million in institutional scholarships to online.
So far, Israel is winning the debate.
So, right? Why don't we both just take a deep breath? Because they want to see a debate where they can make their mind up. They don't want to see interruptive stuff, okay? Why this is going to be a different type of discussion. So, let me both steelman your...
Adam has two hands. Welcome, welcome. What were you saying? I forgot to highlight your thing. You were saying something earlier. Oh, yeah. It's okay to think Israel and Hamas both suck ass. Yes, I agree. That is okay.
Both arguments you have to answer to me, okay? So, Josh. Well, actually, to Dave first and then to Josh. Josh is saying, what about all of the Islamist death that they're responsible for? Beirut bombings. You mentioned the Shiite. That's basically the essence of your argument, right, Josh? By saying...
Fucking Jebediah. McNish? Jebediah McNish. Oh, Jedediah. Jesus Christ. What kind of name is that? Why don't you change your name to Frank or something? Dave Smith. I'm just kidding. $21 trillion later, how has our relationship with Israel worked? Time for them to pay up. Yes, with blood. No, oh wait, here's another one. Welcome to the channel, Jedediah. Jewish runs outfits like HIAS and others want unfettered immigration into the U.S. and other white lands, but not Israel. No, we built their fence. We can't even build ours. Yeah, I know. Not a lot of diversity in Israel, right? Damn, bro. You're coming in hard. If you are white and you love Israel, you are a retarded idiot. I feel like this is like my subconscious started a different YouTube account. I'm just kidding. But welcome. Yeah, look, I have my suspicions. I don't know like what I don't have any in terms of like religions. Look, and I know there's some people that are probably not going to like this, but yeah, dude, I mean, when it comes to any of the organized religions, I don't like any of them. I don't have any kind of special hatred for Jewishness or Christianness or fucking Muslims or whatever. But for sure, I have a problem with the Israel government.
You talk to, he's saying, why,
Israeli government.
Why are you minimizing this? That would be Josh's contention. Is that fair, Josh?
And 9/11, there's so many examples.
Right. Dave responded to that, and then I will throw it back to Josh.
Well, I certainly don't think I in any way minimize.
You son of a bitch. Unity, do you want me to highlight that? Do you care if other people know?
any of those deaths. I made the point that Ronald Reagan still sold weapons to Iran a couple years after that, and I made the point that those roadside weapons were built in Iraq by Shiites there. That's not minimizing it. This is a huge part of the reason why we never should have invaded Iraq to begin with, because we get our bravest young boys killed. It's tens of thousands of them have committed suicide in the last few years, and that doesn't seem to stop anyone from wanting to pursue the next attack. So the point is,
Bob, no, I don't practice a religion. Mustache guy, are you Protestant? No.
right, that I think if we want to really understand,
I wouldn't call myself atheist. I don't know what the fuck to call it. I really don't.
And this stuff, it's wise to look at what some of the motivating factors for the hatred against us is. All you got to do is listen. Yes, I have talked actually to families of people who have died in Iraq. You know what? Overwhelmingly, they're non-interventionists.
What is the term? I think the term that is like somewhat close to where I would line up is like I'm sort of I forget the term. Is it Neoplatonist or something? I'd have to Google it.
Anti-war people now. In fact, did you know that in 2008 and in 2012, Dr. Ron Paul got more money from active duty military than all the other candidates combined, including Barack Obama, because the active duty military are actually the ones who are the most hardcore anti-war. So don't invoke them to try to sell another.
But Dave, I'm going to follow up with a tough. I want you to make the case, because I don't want to have you be able to get past this. You say Israel is not an ally. That is not an opinion that people hear a lot. Why is that?
Look, all I'm saying is, Israel has at every turn, and look, again, when I say Israel, I'm talking about the government of Israel. I'm not talking about the people there. And I'm specifically talking about Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party, who have been in control for most of this time, for most of my lifetime. Yeah, and most of the 21st century. And so when I say...
Okay, so Neoplatonism, there was something I read about it that seemed to, but I don't know shit about this, but there was some philosophical aspect about this that seemed to line up with okay, we don't have time to go into this.
They have been constantly pushing America toward more aggressive policies, toward getting in more fights. And just like I always say, if you went out to the bar every single night with your friend, and every night your friend's trying to convince you to get into a fight, and while you're beating a lot of people up, you're also taking a lot of wounds, and you're going to jail, and you're getting in trouble, you got to stop hanging out with that friend. And so I think that my position, I don't believe in wars of aggression and wars of choice. I don't believe in sanctions. I don't believe that we should be friends with Israel. We should trade with Israel and have a good relationship with them. But you know what? I also don't believe in welfare, and they shouldn't get another dime of U.S. taxpayer money, and they should not. So hold on. Their lobby should register as a foreign
that's a good segue.
agent, and they should stop blackmailing our politics.
Got it. So back to Josh. Dave had some uninterrupted time there. Let's now address that, because, again, there's a text chain. I have all the text to prove it. Everyone knew where this debate was going, right, Dave?
You guys stop blackmailing our politicians. You stop it now.
There's been no surprises. Josh, you knew that.
Quit getting on them lists.
There's some concerns, and Dave mentioned it, such as, I think you're saying AIPAC. Is that correct?
Well, the broader Israel lobby, that's certainly part of it.
Can you address this, Josh? Yeah. Because this is a question people are confused about. Take 2 to 3 minutes on this, and then build.
Richie April asked a very good question. Dark Match Steve, do you think you could stretch Charlie Kirk, bro, if he stepped to you for disrespecting Israel? That would be no fucking problem. I'd gas this motherfucker out. I know he's bigger than me. I'm not scared of him, though. I mean, his face scares me. When he smiles in pictures, his face scares me. But in terms of his size, I'm not intimidated.
About the ally Israel at the end of it, but Josh, Dave is making a point I'd like you to respond.
Okay, so first of all, I'm not a fan of AIPAC. I donated once to AIPAC, $54 like a decade ago, and I basically got swindled into doing it. So I'm not a fan of AIPAC. But AIPAC is not this nefarious boogeyman that Dave Smith will make it out to be. It stands for America-Israel Political Action Committee. It is a group of Americans who place a premium on the U.S.-Israel relationship the same way that the NRA is a group of Americans who place a premium on the Second Amendment. I do too. I'm a concealed carry kind of guy myself. Same way that there are any number of other lobby groups that support any number of other things. By the way, there's also similar groups similar to AIPAC for American citizens who support U.S. relations with other foreign countries. Funny how these other groups never get brought up in this debate. For instance, anyone who's been to Glendale, California, you've probably heard folks in ANCA. That's the Armenian National Committee of America, a very loud, active group in Washington, D.C. Perhaps more nefarious.
Okay, yes, there's... I think the issue comes in where it's AIPAC tied in with the fact that we have dual citizens of Israel working within our government. Is that as prevalent with other countries as it is with Israel? Or do they just get a pass because Israel is on paper somewhere supposed to be our greatest ally.
Seriously, there is the NIAC, the National Iranian American Council. It's funny how in these debates, when you talk about various American citizens who get involved to lobby or to express their political opinion, as the First Amendment gives you the right to do, because they think that the U.S. national interest is served by allying with a certain country, it's funny, and perhaps a little worse than funny, how the whole register as a foreign agent talking point comes up only in one context and one context only, which is AIPAC. Look, the notion, Charlie, that AIPAC, which again, I'm not a fan of. I have literally... I'm not a fan of AIPAC.
Why are you not a fan of it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of AIPAC for the reason that I'm just about to give, actually, which is that AIPAC exists, their raison d'etre, their entire purpose for existing is to secure large-scale annual appropriations, currently about $3.8 billion annually in U.S. aid to Israel. I'm not a particularly big fan of foreign aid in general, and I've been arguing for literally a decade that the U.S. should wind down foreign aid to Israel in particular. I think it actually is a bad idea for both countries.
Do we have agreement on that?
Yeah.
If you want to wind it down to zero tomorrow, we have agreement on that.
Sure. Tomorrow,
yes, I'd support winding it down.
So we have agreement on an end point?
Yes, sure.
Okay, keep going, Josh.
Yeah, so you obviously... Yeah.
Oh, you guys are good people. They just cheered for agreement. I like this crowd.
That's the point. We're not here just to hurl insults. Yeah. You could do that online. This is here to actually have some sort of... We're a nation. These are our fellow citizens. We got to figure this stuff out. Josh, keep going.
Yeah,
you heard that. We have to throw insults. We're online, guys. That is our duty to throw insults. Charlie Kirk, your face looks weird.
Obviously can't do it tomorrow because that would be to betray an ally in the middle of a hot war. That would send a terrible signal to other allies, Saudis, Emiratis, you name it. So you can't do it tomorrow. But I do agree that you should have a game plan, 5, 10, 20 years, whatever it is. I don't really care. Honestly, get a game plan in place to phase out this aid. It's not good for the United States. It's crony capitalism, Eisenhower defense industrial complex, Boeing, Northrop Grumman. All of that is totally true. And then from Israel's perspective, it's also bad for them too because it makes them overly reliant. It actually ends up undermining the entire notion of Zionism, the notion that the Jews should control their own right to their own existence in their own homeland undermines Zionism in the long run. So it's actually bad for both countries. But Charlie, this notion that AIPAC is this big, powerful lobby can be dispelled with literally one anecdote. And I only need one anecdote to dispel this oft-repeated notion, which is the entire 2014 to 2015 Barack Obama-Iran nuclear debate. The fact that the JCPOA, Barack Obama's Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action nuclear deal passed, is literally the singular data point that disproves the entire alleged existence of the nefarious Israel lobby that controls all politicians there. They failed epically to get that passed. I do have a question, Charlie, for Dave there, which is...
I will translate it.
Okay. Well, Charlie, I would be very, very curious, based on Dave's recent tweets about Donald Trump doing XYZ things, whether it's covering up for a pedophile ring or engaging in foreign wars, all on behest of a foreign power. Does Dave actually think that Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, the entire Trump administration are literally bought off by the Jews? Is that actually your honest answer?
Okay, so what Josh is asking...
Well, yeah. Well, first off, well, it's always, look, all of this. I mean, literally...
I have a tough follow-up for you.
No, but I'm sorry, but just like everything you just said, like all of it, I just find to be like the cheapest debate tactics. First off, I never said anyone's bought off by the Jews. We're both Jewish. And that's a dirty little trick you play when I'm talking about...
the only non-Jewish guy on
I'm talking about a foreign... Yeah, I'm talking about a foreign government, and then you kind of imply... And no, again, this is all just straw man. It's this whole thing of like Dave saying AIPAC is this big bad monster that controls everything.
You just said foreign...
Hold on. Therefore, if I have one data point of where a policy that AIPAC didn't want gets through, that disproves the whole narrative. And then this distraction with talking about the Armenian lobby or this like, yeah, well, if we were having a discussion about that, maybe that would come up. But we're talking about this. And to compare AIPAC to the NRA, who, by the way, are kind of sellouts and don't go nearly far enough. But like, I'm a hardcore gun rights guy.
We got more agreement. Yeah. We love our guns, don't we, everybody?
Yeah. No, you know, the NRA guys who always go, the key is to enforce existing gun laws. No, the key is to repeal every last one of the existing guns. There should be one law, the Second Amendment. That's the law.
You love our guns.
Okay, but all that, no, it is totally different to have a group of Americans advocating on it for a constitutionally protected natural right for American citizens than to...
That hurt my throat. My throat's dry.
Have a group of Americans advocating for a foreign government in conjunction with that foreign government. That's a different thing. And to even, let me finish, Josh. And to even compare them is ridiculous. And listen, by the way, I'll just say this. Every single person in this room, you have to hate AIPAC. You don't even have a choice. You're here at Turning Point USA. AIPAC contributes millions of dollars to woke progressive Democrats if they support Israel. In other words, it's okay to destroy our country as long as that helps Israel. So I'm sorry, I don't know, Turning Point USA, this is my first time here. Quick question, are we allowed to support groups that contribute millions of dollars to woke progressive Democrats? Because I thought the answer was no.
So Josh, and then Dave, I'm going to have a tough follow-up for you, so take a drink of water. Josh, what would you say to that? Because, look, I wouldn't, some people would ask the question, okay, does AIPAC have more power than like your traditional like Armenian lobby? And but more broadly, let's just take it more broadly. Like, is there any concern that, or how would you address the concern? Let me put it this way. How would you address the concern that some people have that a foreign government tends to have an outsized amount of platform in the U.S. government?
Charlie, I think that there are tens, if not hundreds of millions of Americans who care a lot about U.S. relations with the state of Israel for understandable reasons. This literally goes back, by the way, those of you who are familiar with the American history, this literally goes back to the American founding. The American founders were extremely, extremely eloquent and outspoken about this. From George Washington to John Adams to Hamilton to Abraham Lincoln's famous February 1861 speech referring to Americans as an almost chosen people. They quoted the Hebrew Bible over and over and over again. They understood that the Christianity upon which America is predicated is not exclusively, but has a lot of Old Testament Hebrew Bible emphasis therein. And that's been part of our Constitution, part of our legal code, part of our moral code since day one. So it is completely reasonable for people in the year 2025 to look at that, to look at all the other things we talked about when it comes to deterring Islamism and Sharia supremacism, when it comes to trying to achieve this Abraham Accord-style nationalist, realist foreign policy, when it comes to deterring the Iranian regime and their various proxies. It's very, very understandable for American citizens, again, Americans, to look at that and to conclude that we have important reasons for allying with Israel. They are not doing so on behalf of a foreign government. This framing is absurd. It's utterly absurd. They are doing so.
Bob, what the... Bob, Dark Match, are you Catholic? Bro, I told you, I don't practice a religion. I'm a black Israelite, actually. That's my answer. Adam has two hands, thank you. I'm a black Israelite. I appreciate the question.
Because they are patriotic Americans and they feel it is their subjective sense as patriotic Americans that this alliance is furthered.
And they are U.S. passport holders. Some people think that they're strictly foreign nationals. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's just simply just not true. Now, I say that by the way, someone who's been very critical of AIPAC, but it's just simply not true.
We're using that as a filler term. So now, Dave, for you, two quick ones. Do you think that the Council for American Islamic Relations should register as a foreign agent?
Yeah, I don't think there should be any groups advocating on behalf of foreign governments.
You're being consistent.
Yeah,
great.
that's right.
Secondly, though, and Josh did not say this, but he laced it in through one of the salvos. He said, Dave, you're accusing them of being bought by the Jews. Now, Dave, there is a rise of, I just think, some disgusting stuff online. I'm not blaming you for this. I'm not one of those people, right? But what do you have to say that there's this like dark Jew hate out there? And you see
Charlie Kirk, I'm sorry. Okay? Kanye West made a smash hit. And I'm sorry it's so offensive. That is not my fault that Kanye West knows how to make smash hits. He can get the entire world on its feet singing a song that I don't even want to say the lyrics for right now because I'm scared. Who am I scared of? I'm scared to even say. Okay? But that's not my fault. We liked the Kanye song. You write your own smash hit.
And I hate it. It's not good.
Yeah.
And everyone in this audience, guys, don't get yourself involved in that. I'm telling you, it will rot your brain. It's bad for your soul. It's bad. It's evil. I think it's demonic. And so, Dave, though, how do you navigate being critical of a foreign government while also, like some people say, well, your fans hate Jews. You're not responsible for your fans. That is dumb. That is terrible. I don't believe that. At the same time, though, Dave, you have a big responsibility on your shoulders, right? Because you're saying something that is heterodox, not popular opinion, that some people are trying to use to push a much more sinister agenda.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think that the fact is that the policies that the U.S. government is pursuing are almost guaranteed to create this. And look, I think there's a lot of factors here. I don't have nearly enough time to kind of give all of my thoughts on this. But I think as you young people know, right, even though kind of over the last year with Trump's victory, wokeism has been receding, at least to some degree, it really can't be overstated how much every institution in American life bought into racialism over the last 15 years. And it's like these young kids came up in an environment where that was just considered normal. Like you judge people by their race and make racialist arguments. And yes, now that has also been embraced by some people on the right. I will say that I think the best thing to always do in these situations is tell the truth, try to be a good person, try to deliver your message in the most compelling way, and let the chips fall where they may. But I do think that the level of Israeli control over our politics is frankly pretty undeniable, as much as people try to. Look, just think one example, right, of this. So Donald Trump, you remember at the end of the 12-day war, when Donald Trump starts pushing for a ceasefire, and then what does Israel do? They come in and start bombing regime targets, not nuclear sites. They come in and start bombing, and then Donald Trump was furious with Netanyahu. Obviously, he had his most angry moment toward Netanyahu when he said, they both don't know what the F they're doing.
I kind of love that moment. For the record.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that moment too. But then the next day, he's right back to just advocating that they drop the charges against Netanyahu. He's still going to continue funding Netanyahu unconditionally. Anyone else, Donald Trump, would have come up with a nickname for him already and just been smashing them all over the place. He was trying to lure America into a war that Donald Trump didn't want to get into. But then
he did because he literally chose to get involved. Like that was Donald Trump's decision.
Right, but it was also his decision.
Israelis had a backup plan.
Right, but it was also his decision to push for a ceasefire and to try to end the thing.
And Israel agreed immediately.
No, they bombed the crap out of him immediately. That's why Trump was so upset.
Single question. I want to phase out US aid to Israel. Okay, I established that. Allegedly, Prime Minister Netanyahu is now getting on board with that as well. Certainly a lot of people in his coalition too.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Well, he's basically said that, so you should believe it. But what exactly?
A politician saying something
Josh finish his question.
You should believe
Dave,
it.
let Josh finish his question.
If the Israeli government were to agree that that is the best policy, and if the United States were to do that, then what in God's name is your actual problem?
Well, I'm sorry. So if America was not propping up Israel and America was not...
If you wind down the foreign aid, then what is your issue?
Well, there's other military intervention, obviously, so I'm not sure I follow. I'd be very happy to wind down the foreign aid. But other than that, listen, I'm a non-interventionist, so I'm not saying America should get involved. But no, I mean, I do think objectively what Israel's doing to Gaza is horrible. I think
and I want to talk about Gaza.
They couldn't do it without us.
So make that
case. If they were, I would still be against that.
We have to go fast because people have flights and stuff, but I want to get to this, right? And we still haven't gotten to the final conclusion. So let's talk Gaza because First, I want to go, Josh, on October 7th, because I want you to remind people what happened on October 7th. And Dave, I'll be honest, I think your portion of the debate, your portion of your community could do a better job of remembering the horror on October 7th. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not putting that on you. I'm saying just your community. I want you just to think, because I think we kind of forget, because there was something unique and terrible. Josh, I want you to talk about that. And then I want you to make the best case you can, because every human being's made the image.
Dave, how quickly your fans forget the day that history started, October 7th. How quickly your fans forget.
God, I don't like seeing dead kids anywhere. I don't like seeing dead kids in Gaza. I don't like it. So we're Christians here. So Josh, I want you to kind of walk us through the series of events, because it can't be lost on us.
I don't like seeing dead kids. So instead of telling Israel not to kill kids, I'm just not going on Twitter. That is a direct quote from Charlie Kirk.
Talk about Gaza. Talk about the horror of October 7th. Then, Dave, I want you to talk about your criticism about Gaza. And then I'm going to ask you a follow-up, Dave, about something that happened.
I'm just joking, chat. Everybody relax.
Happened from the Joe Rogan show. Josh, you first.
I'm just curious. Has anyone just put your hand up and make some noise? Have you been, any of you, to the parts of Israel that were slaughtered by Hamas? Anyone? All right, a few people. So I was also there a few months after it happened. If you haven't been there, it's very difficult to describe what you see. You see these kibbutzim, these small villages. By the way, these were typically left-wingers. These are peaceniks that were establishing their villages on the border to try to engage in pen pal diplomacy, if you will, with the Arabs of Gaza. These are very kind of left-wing peacenik people. And you see just kitchenware throughout the streets, teddy bears everywhere, blood-stained walls, bullet holes as far as the eye can see. It's very difficult to describe. The only time that I had that similar feeling walking around places like Kfar Aza was when I was in Treblinka, the Nazi concentration camp itself. So, look, in total, and there's a brand new report talking about the extent of the mass raping and sexual violence that Hamas committed on October 7th combined. You're looking at roughly 1,200 people slaughtered. By the way, not all Israeli nationals. Dozens of Americans were either murdered or taken hostage in Gaza as well. In total, something like 40 to 50 different nationalities were represented of those who were slaughtered on October 7th. In fact, just looking at it from a very strictly, narrowly American perspective, October 7th amounted on its own terms to the largest American-only hostage crisis since Tehran in 1979, because of all the American citizens who were then taken hostage into Gaza. So it was an unspeakable atrocity. We don't really have all the answers to this day as to how it happened. Perhaps we never will. I certainly hope to get some clarity at some point there. But it was the single deadliest day for the Jewish people since World War II. And given Israel's small size, it's roughly the equivalent of 45 to 50 9/11s, if you can possibly contextualize that. So that was what precipitated.
I'm a Dave Smith fan. I refuse to acknowledge anything this man is saying.
This war. And it was a war that Charlie did not want, as you know. Hamas took over in 2007. Israel repeatedly, time and time again, decided not to try to topple Hamas under the idea that you could potentially have an even worse alternative, better to deal with the devil that you know, and so forth there. October 7th.
Bob D, or not Bob D, just Bob. Dark Match, are you answering questions? No. Except that one. I answered that one. Yes, I'm answering questions. What do you think I'm here for? Get in this chat. Yes, Bob. Why? What's your question? Why what? Is just why your question? I don't know.
I think extremely reasonably, given the sheer level of carnage and terror and just
What's your question, buddy? I got you. What's up?
Right, satanic, demonic evil that happened, they quite reasonably concluded that policy simply had to end. And what's happened in Gaza for the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, has been
Bob, yes, my parents are Catholic. I have a Catholic father and a Catholic mother. I was not adopted by a single mother. I have two happy parents. They're still together. And I was raised perfectly.
Protracted war in one of the most condensed urban environments in the world. It is very, 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 very difficult war-fighting conditions. I would like to remind you just of at least one or two very simple facts. One is that, let's not forget that Hamas, who Israel is at war against in Gaza, is a U.S.-recognized foreign terrorist organization. They are indistinguishable in that respect from Al-Qaeda or ISIS or any of these other foreign terrorist organizations. They are a rabid jihadist network that, like all these other jihadis and Sharia supremacists, also wants to kill not merely Jews, but Christians and all infidels. They say that very clearly in the 1987 founding charter. That is point number one. Point number two, Charlie, you mentioned that it's a very Christian audience. I am Jewish. We happen to share most of the Bible. And I am a firm believer in Genesis 1:27, that we are all made in God's image. That is one of my foundational beliefs in everything. I write about this at great length in my book, Israel and Civilization. To me, that's the single foundational ethical imperative of all Western civilization. It informs my pro-life views and so much else. So I, like you and like so many others, also weep whenever innocent people are dead. There are 2 points to make. I'll make them very briefly because I know I'm sensitive to time. One is that we know, because we actually have people like John Spencer, the head of urban warfare studies at West Point, who have actually been able to crunch numbers. We know that when you actually look at the civilian to combatant death.
Bro, Dave Smith is now blaming Trump for 9/11. Dave just said that Trump started the Civil War. You are a psychopath, bro. Junior Coltrane, you are fucking psycho. I love it. Scott Starboard, my dude. So why did Netanyahu fund Hamas, who America has labeled a terrorist organization? Wasn't that the whole deal with see, this is more Israel history that I don't want to know, but I'm forced to learn. Was that the Yasser Arafat thing, right? That they got rid of Israel funded Hamas to help get rid of Yasser Arafat. I know that was like part of the deal.
Death ratios in Gaza. It is the most humane civilian to combatant death ratio in the entire history of urban warfare. John Spencer was there, by the way, in 2016, 2017 in Fallujah, Iraq, during the Trump-led ISIS counterinsurgency. The United States Army, God bless them, did not even do quite as well as the IDF in terms of civilian to combatant death ratio, according to John Spencer of West Point. Point number two, which is a very simple point that Dave Smith and his friends always like to look over, is that when you're just trying to ascribe moral culpability to every single tragic death in Gaza, Charlie, you made this point so well in your recent debates over in England against these highfalutin British faux intellectuals at Cambridge and Oxford, when you said that the moral culpability comes to people who are using human shields. That is just how it works. That is the law of war. That is the law of combat. That is just basic morality and logic 101. So that is essentially how I see Gaza.
I know Dave has plenty to say in response to that. So Dave, take 2 minutes, and then I have a crisp follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, geez, there's a lot.
Very true. Like if a military base is operating at in the base of a hospital, they are using human shields. They are responsible.
There. First of all, look, if you support...
Good thing Israel hasn't done that, right, guys? Right? Good thing there's no video of Israel doing that.
What Israel's doing in Gaza right now, I would just, like, my advice to you guys is just know that you never have a leg to stand on claiming to be pro-life for the rest of your life. Just saying that. If you... Oh, so it's okay to support
Let's not boo our speaker.
It's okay to support a policy that is killing babies. All of a sudden, killing babies is negotiable. All right, fine. I'm just reading the room.
So, Dave, why don't
No, I'm not talking about for Hamas.
Hold on, back up. Dave,
I'll just let you go on this whole long
thing. I'm going to actually help you out here, Dave, okay? What I'm doing, I want you to tell the audience what's going on in Gaza, because some people in the audience don't know what's going on. So don't assume they know, and let's not get back to...
Oh, okay, well, I did assume that most people know that lots of babies are being killed in Gaza, but maybe I shouldn't have assumed that.
Don't be sarcastic about it, Dave. Instead, I mean this.
No, I meant that literally. I did assume that.
Loop where they're on social media all the time, okay? So walk through numbers, walk through what animates you to say something like that.
Well, okay, well, let me respond to a few of the things that Josh claimed. I mean, if you want to go, there was just a major report a couple weeks ago in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, where they had a bunch of IDF soldiers. They actually had one who went on record who was saying that they were ordered to shoot at crowds of people who were going into...
All right, left-wing filth, by the way.
Josh, I let you talk. Let's please let Dave make his case.
Well, is the IDF soldier who went on the record also filth?
Probably.
Okay. All right, there you go. So if they're... See, if you're... whatever. That's when you'll criticize the IDF. Look, Josh is just lying when he says that Israel supported Hamas for all those years because they feared there might be a worse alternative. It's just not true. And this has been so widely reported. You don't have to rely on Haaretz. You can rely on all types of reporting, or you can just look at all of the leaders in their own words, what they said. They chose Netanyahu, and this was very controversial in Israel. There were a lot of critics of this. Netanyahu thought he had this brilliant idea, which is that he would prop up Hamas and keep them in power. His exact quote was, "We can control the height of the flame." So he was like, we'll keep these terrorists in power, and that way we can tell the entire international community that, look, we have no partner for peace. We have no one to deal with here. And that way we never have to negotiate with the Palestinians. This was the game that he played, and it blew up in his face and really blew up in the Israeli people's face on October 7th. And I've never downplayed October 7th. I know, but I'm just making the point that I never have.
Thank you. What happened there is totally...
Day. You don't have to downplay any of that. And in fact, I've criticized many other critics of Israel who have downplayed that. It was a horrible day. Awful, atrocious acts were committed by Hamas terrorists. But at the same time, Benjamin Netanyahu was propping those guys up. In fact, according to the Israeli former defense secretary, he sent the head of the Mossad to Qatar to, quote, beg them to continue shipping the money in. Meanwhile, they had a blockade around Gaza. They wouldn't let sugar, they wouldn't let potatoes in because they claim that's dual use. That could be used to build rockets. So the kids can't get, food. Yet hundreds of millions of dollars in cash directly to Hamas. I guess money doesn't have a dual use. So, the whole mission of this, what you can't even really call a war, because it's not a war, it's the destruction of a captive people. Gaza's been occupied since 1967 by the Israelis. And they're now just slaughtering the people there that's a fact. And it's under the supposed goal that they want to eliminate Hamas and they want to retrieve the hostages. And yet, Hamas is not being eliminated. The Israeli government is claiming that they've killed 20,000 of their fighters, and yet there's still as many as there were at the beginning.
So Dave, let me ask you the follow-up that I wish that I had an answer to when you were on the Joe Rogan show, but that thing descended into a mess, right? It was madness. So I'm going to try to do it here. This was the best point that I think that for whatever reason it wasn't answered. How then should Israel have responded to October 7th? Be specific. I know you might say, well, don't kill kids, but hold on. How would you say you would be okay for Israel to respond? Because it would be a defensive war at that time. 1,300 of their own kids and women were killed and raped. So please just answer, how then would you be okay with Israel responding to October 7th?
Yeah, well, I certainly, look, I'm not saying that Israel was going to respond with zero violence from after October 7th. But I think the important thing to remember here is that, first of all, for the entire history of Israel's existence, they've been dealing with this terrorism problem. I would argue that the Palestinians have been dealing with a terrorism problem from Israel as well, but this is, and they've never, until Netanyahu, they never treated it as a problem for the regular old military. It was always targeted assassinations and special ops. And look, the truth is, this is the fact, right? When you have been occupying a group of people since 1967, Israel has completely controlled Gaza.
They withdrew 20 years ago.
Yes, okay. And if you want to go back and look at this, you can read Sharon's top advisor, in his own words, said the disengagement was to put
we're running out of time. I know, but
okay, I won't be able to go through all of this, but it's not true. Israel continued to occupy the whole time. And when people broke out,
literally dug out their own cemeteries.
No, just keep on, Dave.
Okay, so when people break out of Gaza and just start just slaughtering civilians in Israel, yes, it was a horrible day, and the world feels for those civilians. But at the same time, you have to know, if you're Israel, that the way that you respond to this is going to be how you're characterized in the international community. And so you would at least make some effort to not kill so many civilians. You can't, dude. Smotrich, the finance minister, was bragging for 3 months that not 1 ounce of grain would get into Gaza. Well, Hamas has all the food.
Firing rockets.
Hamas has all the. Dude, you interrupt every 2 seconds, dude. Hamas has all the food they need. This is a war on the civilian population. And then, as is reported, admitted by IDF. By the way, this is admitted by the Israeli government. You can say whatever you want about Haaretz. They denied that they gave the orders, but they admitted that it was the IDF who was shooting at those people. Then, after you deny the civilians food for 3 months, then you start shooting at the people who are desperately trying to get some food for them and their kids. So no, listen, I'm sorry, and I guess I am partly rejecting the premise of your question. But let me just say it like this, Charlie. If you're pro-life, and you say,
it's a stupid argument. You should not buy
Guys, let Dave finish his sentence.
Shut up, bro. It's not. It's a stupid argument. It's a stupid argument. You haven't heard the argument. What's the argument that's stupid?
Dave,
you're not pro-life.
Guys,
no, what's the argument? It's Hamas that is not pro-life.
What's the argument? You just called stupid.
Dave,
what's the argument?
This is what.
Hold on 1 second, Charlie. What's the argument that you?
No. Let Dave get this motherfucker.
Hey, what's the argument that you called stupid?
Why don't you finish it, Josh?
Because he doesn't even know what it is. He interrupted me before I even said it. Okay, here's the argument. If you're pro-life, it's not incumbent on you to have a plan for what the mother ought to do with the baby. Like, you don't have to have a plan for daycare and college funds and all that. You just say, hey, I think this option should be off the table. I don't think you have the right to murder the baby while it's inside of you. Likewise, I'm not saying I have to have the perfect plan. If we had more time, I could expound on what I think they should have done. But how about don't deny 1 ounce of grain for 3 months and then shoot at the poor people who are trying to get food?
Josh,
how about take that option off the table? Is that argument stupid, Josh?
Dave,
okay,
Josh.
The party in
That's so stupid, Dave.
Gaza that is not pro-life is...
We need baby's blood. It's oil for this machine we call capitalism, baby.
Hamas.
Agreed.
Hamas is the...
I need to be able to get the newest iPhone. And I'm sorry, but that requires baby's blood.
Jihadist, U.S.-recognized foreign terrorist organization that in their founding charter, by the way, they were founded simply as the Palestinian Arab offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood.
We all agree Hamas.
I want that baby blood, baby blood, baby blood, baby blood. Chili's, baby blood, ribs.
Hamas is bad. Well, no, I'm not going to sit here while he interrupts me every time I speak and never interrupt him.
Dave, respectfully, you are criticizing him for interrupting, so don't do that. So just let's have an uninterrupted narrative. Thank you.
Okay. Hamas calls in their founding charter for the death not merely of every Israeli, not merely every Jew, but of every infidel, which they identify as not merely all Christians, but also all Muslims who subscribe to their idiosyncratic form of Sunni Sharia supremacism. So the group in Hamas, the group in Gaza that is not pro-life is Hamas. And Hamas has the unequivocal, and I would argue sole moral culpability for the human shield-induced deaths of all the women, civilians, and babies when they are indiscriminately firing rockets, mortars, and missiles from mosques, from United Nations schools, and on. That is where the blame goes. The blame goes to Hamas. Once upon a time, anyone with any decent functioning moral compass or any knowledge of international law 101 would have been able to tell you that. So that is where this goes.
But again, it's just you pivot to blaming Hamas, and they're the ones who aren't pro-life, as if I was making the claim that Hamas is pro-life. I'm criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu for funding and propping up this horrific terrorist organization. So how are you in one breath going to talk about how terrible they are and then completely remove culpability from the guy who kept them in power intentionally?
I am curious. I'm curious. I got to interrupt. What is your response to the human shield argument? It has been proven. It is legit. What is your response to a fact? We don't know how widespread it's done, but I think it's rather that Hamas uses human shields.
Yeah, they certainly have. I'm not denying that. But at the same time, it's kind of, if let's say like in a domestic criminal situation, if there was somebody who killed a bunch of people and then they ran into a school and they're like using the kids as human shields, they're hiding behind the kids, and then you're looking.
Do the cops bomb the building? I think that's what they're supposed to do. Right, guys? When there's a school shooter in a school and they want to stop him, they just bomb the school. That's typically the protocol in America, I think, right? So that's why it's okay when Israel does it. Let's hear what Dave says.
The police department came over and said, blow up the school and killed all.
Oh, imagine that.
The kids. You wouldn't go, well, they have no moral responsibility because they were using them as human shields. Yeah, as Bill Burr said in his special, you got to work around that, bro. And Hamas is terrible. Nobody's arguing with that. But that doesn't mean there's no responsibility for the people dropping the bomb. And by the way, again, as you don't want to talk about, how about when they're shooting at people trying to get aid? There were no human shields there.
I do want to talk
look at a picture of Gaza. The human shields does not describe most of what's happened to Gaza. Yes, there are certain instances. And by the way, Israel also has a bunch of military targets in civilian areas. I'm just saying that doesn't actually mean it's okay.
Dude, The fucking video, this was during the 12-day war. That video came out showing the IDF operating in the base of a hospital. Okay, if you guys didn't pick up on that earlier when I fucking hinted at it.
Just now you have a moral get-out-of-jail-free card to do whatever you want to the poor, innocent people who, as you point out, are also victims of Hamas.
Josh.
And that's what people are objecting to.
Josh, what is your response to, I know there was some pushback online, to the shooting at the aid site with food? Is that as Dave is telling it?
Charlie, honestly, I have not spent too much time on the details, but what I can tell you is this. We know for a fact that at least until the recent Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is this U.S. organized NGO distributing aid, we know that prior to the establishment of this, Hamas was pilfering and confiscating a shockingly high percentage of the aid that entered Gaza, sometimes well more than 50%. Because that's what they do. They have monopoly of use of force in Gaza, and they were essentially just artificially inflating the prices of the actual Gazans' goods and then stealing it all for themselves. That's what Hamas does. It is a deeply corrupt kleptocracy in addition to being a jihadist hellhole. Now, the new aid group, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, is a noble and righteous effort that guess who opposes it? Hamas. Hamas are the ones who actually have started indiscriminately shooting, even much more so than whatever anecdote Dave Smith is talking about. Hamas is the one that's actually started indiscriminately shooting at this U.S. perpetuated, this U.S. orchestrated new aid distribution organization, because Hamas doesn't like the fact that the United States, under Donald Trump, God bless him, has found a way to get around the Hamas monopoly on aid distribution in Gaza.
Spend less on your kids with Amazon's low back-to-school prices.
We are way over time.
I don't have kids.
And so now I want to end with what do we want? Okay, we both are challenging.
I'm going to die alone. I don't have kids.
Defending, so we got to go fast.
But thank you, Amazon.
Josh, I'm going to start with you. What are you pushing for? What is success? What is the end destination? What are you prescribing? What are you offering? And then Dave, I'll let you do it. And then please don't interrupt.
Charlie, great debate. Thank you for moderating this. So I support the Trump doctrine of foreign policy. I've been a staunch proponent of the Trump doctrine since the Trump doctrine first came into instantiation during the first Trump presidency. The Trump doctrine, again, is neither neoconservative nor isolationist. It is a nationalist, realist, America-first approach to foreign policy that understands three things. One, America's number one focus this century must be on combating our actual civilizational foe, the Chinese Communist Party. Two, America has declining resources. Three, the way to deal with both those two is to prioritize in non-Indo-Pacific regions of the world allies who are capable of securing and patrolling their neck of the woods in a way that redounds not just to their national interest, but to the American national interest. That in the Middle East is Israel. We've seen that time and time again throughout the Middle East. And again, Charlie, just to drive home this point there, the guy who understands this better than everyone, despite this whole kind of very online debate about what MAGA or America First should think about foreign policy and U.S. relations, the guy who understands this the best, as he recently reminded us, is the guy who literally defined the terms MAGA and America First. So Donald Trump, it is completely commonsensical. It is utterly logical. It flows from first principles that to be America First is to necessarily support tight-knit, close-knit U.S.-Israel relations. We saw this in the U.S.-Iran war. We saw the B-2 bombers do what they did, and God bless them for dropping those bombs in that 37-hour interval. That would not have been possible were it not for the Israelis laying the groundwork with the Iranian air defenses and Hezbollah the year prior in 2024.
Hey guys, America First means Israel first.
It was the Trump doctrine and U.S.-Israel relations at work. So, Charlie, my vision is for an independent Israel where we ultimately...
That's what it means. We've got a translator here. That's America is actually a, what's that fucking language they speak? I'll go with Yiddish. Or Hebrew, whatever. America is actually Hebrew for the word Israel. So that means America First means Israel first.
Wind down aid, and for Israel to be the beacon of protecting and securing American interests in the Middle East, just like other countries can then take responsibility in different regions of the world, so America can then focus on China.
Bob, that's actually that's a really good point. Dark Match, if you don't like USA, leave. The problem is, and really that is a fair point, that if I don't like America, I should leave. But the problem is I dislike every other country more than I dislike the United States. You see, if I went somewhere else, I would hate it more. And I'd have to say, okay, well, I have to leave here too. And I'd go to every country on the entire planet and go, wow, I hate it here too. I hate it here worse than I ever hated anything else. And eventually I'd end up back here. Okay?
Look, I think if you guys are being honest with yourselves, and I do think we should really think about the threats that we really do face here at home. And I'm talking about the Democrats coming back into power. Forget all these...
Hey, wait, I don't even hate it here. How did you get me to argue for a position that I don't hold? I let that happen. I let it happen because it was fun.
Made up threats about other countries that really can't mess with us at all. I don't know if you guys have noticed, and you could say it's a very online debate all you want to. This hasn't been a good month for Donald Trump. His base is really kind of turning on each other, and these are major issues that are dividing his coalition. And this is J.D. Vance winning in a few years is not a given. You know, like the Democrats are going to come back and offer someone. And if we want to have a chance to keep progress going and to get our country in a better place, what we have to do is reject empire and return to being a republic that we were supposed to be. The United States of America was never supposed to be an empire. We were supposed to be a republic, a constitutional republic, a city on a hill that the world could learn from our example because we do liberty so much better than anybody else does. And we've gotten so far away from that over the years. And like I mentioned at the beginning, look, this is the big point. We're going broke. We can't afford to do this anymore. It shouldn't even be a question of whether we should be giving Israel money or whether we should be giving Ukraine money, as Donald Trump's also decided to do this year. We don't have it. This is like me taking out money on a credit card to lend to my friends so I can act like I'm the big shot who's lending them money. We are destroying our own young people. You, not me. I'm not a younger. I'm fine. I'm in my 40s and I make good money. Your whole generation is getting screwed over by this because we have to devalue our currency in order to keep up with the demands for this spending that we cannot afford. And so the answer is that we need to pull back. We need to focus on America. That's what America First is supposed to be about. Sound money, fiscal sanity, and true liberty, true free market capitalism. Not a government that spends $7 trillion a year and a crazy casino system on Wall Street with these incredibly low interest rates where people are making tens of millions of dollars off just, speculating on nonsense. And this is it's the warfare state that drives it. Look, guys, we have spent $20 trillion since the collapse of the Soviet Union. The war in Iraq and Afghanistan are over, and we're looking at our biggest defense budget ever. This is madness, and it will be the death of our country. No Islamist is going to take down our country, but drowning in debt and empire will. That's how great nations fall. And the young Republicans need to reject that. A republic, not an empire, like the great Pat Buchanan said.
Dave Smith's got old Hammerhead over here sweating.
I just summarize. This was time well spent. Both Dave and Josh agree on some plan to wind down U.S.-Israel aid. That was an agreement, correct? The timeline you could debate about. Number two, they both say every human's made in the image of God, and we should not trivialize when, people are killed. Also, I think we all agreed October 7th was awful. It was terrible and should be talked about more, and it needs to be emphasized. We also agree this Jew hate stuff has no place in public discourse, period. End of story. And I don't like it. It's disgusting, and we need to call it out when we see it. And
we'll give Kanye a pass, though, guys. We got to give him a pass. No way am I going to let Kanye write smash hits like that and then say you're not allowed to write any more like that. What if he drops a new Hitler song tomorrow? I need to hear it.
I think the fifth is that I hope we demonstrated, and both our participants got a little lively at times, that this is a debate worth having, that it's better to have this out in the open than silence people and censor them and call them names. Instead, this is how we solve our problems. Give it up for Josh and Dave one last time, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Charlie.
Charlie Kirk wasn't a bad moderator there. I honestly thought it was going to probably get worse than that. But it wasn't too bad. It was a decent debate. All right, guys. I got to get out of here. It's late. Oh. Lovers, friends, this has been Dark Times with Dark Match Steve. The man himself, the twink. The dark twink himself. All facts. Dave Smith was spitting some facts at the end there, wasn't he? All right, no, for real though, Israel is our greatest ally, guys. Whatever they do is right, even if it seems wrong. It is right because they are our greatest ally. I just wanted to leave you all with that. Trust them with your tax dollars, guys. They'll spend it better than you could. Let me just tell you. One thing we know is the IDF, they know how to spend $1. Okay? They'll make it go a lot further than you could. So we got to support Israel, guys. I will see you all tomorrow night. What are we getting into this week? I got my Devil's Tower hat on. Maybe we should go through some of my trip. Do that on the stream. Maybe we'll do that this week. I don't know. We'll see if we get to that. I got a bunch of different cool things planned if we have some slower news days and stuff. A few different things that I want to go over on here. So, yeah, guys, please, if you are new, hit the subscribe button, the like button, all that shit. We do this stream 5 nights a week. Get on here, talk shit. I edge you for like 2 to 3 hours if you can even handle it. And yeah, we got our boy Scott Starbird here up in the chat. That's our boy. He does a stream before I do. He goes live normally around 6, between 6 and 6:30. He goes live That's Eastern time, PM. And then Tuesday through Thursday, Alex Stein is live at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then I go live at 8. That's like our nightly lineup during the week. But yeah, otherwise, I'll see you guys in the Above Army chat in the morning, I'm sure. And then I'll see you in Scott's stream. I'll be up in both those chats, absolutely slutting it up, egregiously slutting it up. And then I'll see you guys in my chat. You better be up in here. All right, lovers. We had some good numbers tonight. That's good. We're keeping the numbers pretty good, guys. I appreciate all the support, for real. I love you guys. Scott, love you, buddy. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Everybody take it easy. Bye.